Alright folks, welcome to the Besides the Norm podcast. My name is Scuba, we're here with Craig as per usual. We've got a special guest in as well. You want to introduce the guest, Craig?
We've got Bill Mair, another Solidarity candidate, so you've got two in the same podcast. How fucking lucky are you? That's awesome. How you doing, Bill?
I'm good, I'm good, Craig. Good evening everyone, and greetings from Solidarity, Scotland's socialist movement.
Excellent. So you had a few things you wanted to talk about. I didn't bother getting news stories because you said you already had sort of ideas on what you wanted to talk about, sort of thing.
Aye, well, first things first, we need to get the important stuff out of the way.
Mm-hmm.
There's a guy called Austin Green listening. Who
you explained to me who he was, and I just said okay, and I didn't realise who he was.
Aye, so basically, there's a Facebook group. I've spoken about this on the capitalism versus socialism debate,
mm-hmm.
and I think we've spoken about it in our places as well. This group on Facebook called Sensible Debates, which is ironic.
Right.
There's a guy that was agreeing with me. I can't remember what I was arguing about, but I was right. And this guy, Austin Green, seemed to agree with me and started listening to the podcast because people were sort of piling in like, "Oh, you do a podcast, you came with stuff," and stupid shit. And basically he was like, "I really appreciate the amount of swearing in the podcast." And then when I posted up the day that we've got you in, he responded saying, "I hope the swearing is kept up to this amount.
Aye,
and if it goes below that, then I won't be listening."
Aye, well, Austin, don't worry, I'm not sitting here in my twin set and pearls tutting disapprovingly. but I did at one point last year for about 4 or 5 months solid in one unbroken stretch, stop swearing. I stopped swearing for 4 or 5 months, mm-hmm. and then a whole bunch of stuff happened in my life, and it all got on top of me, and I started swearing again. Now, I'm a man who's halfway to 110. I'm halfway to 110. So I've probably been swearing for 45 years or something, let's say, right? Mm-hmm. I managed to stop for 4 or 5 months. So I'm back on the wagon again, Austin. I'm back on the wagon. I'm not saying I would swear. I'm saying I'm trying not to. But the more that these guys swear, the better they make me look. So you've nothing to worry about.
That's the way I see it, right?
Yeah, please do not take out your headphones or burn your PC.
Oh no, he wanted you to swear.
Well, exactly. Well, what I'm hoping is that the guys here will up from each according to their ability, to each according to their need. See, socialism, right? I've not got enough swearing, so what these guys have to do is provide more swearing to make up for it. Don't worry, just don't worry. Is the long and the short of it.
We'll up the ante in the sense with these things.
Fuck that shit.
Beautiful. So we've got like wee samples like that.
Yeah.
We've got a great Donald Trump intro as well. So we're going to be talking about Trump in a wee bit.
Obviously we're going to be talking.
There was a guy posted up. There's a band called the 13 Tombs. They're a kind of like a horror punk band sort of thing locally through here. And they must have been at a rally the other day. And they put up a great. You want to go into the Trump stuff now, and I'll play this quickly.
Sure, we can.
You're ready to start with Trump stuff, Bill?
Trump's good for me. Aye.
Right, that's cool. This is a new intro for the Trump section of the podcast, which you right. Enjoy. It's beautiful. I'm not sure what rally they were at. It must have been they recorded somewhere. There you go. Why are you such a cunt? There you go. It's nice.
Yeah,
so that's a wee intro for the Trump section. I think that's good.
I've got a technical query.
Right.
Right, so I could hear that coming out the speaker.
Aye.
So in a radio studio, right, I wouldn't hear that unless I had headphones.
Aye.
Right? So is that like people outside this room? Are they hearing that because it's coming out of that speaker?
I've deliberately put it low, and the speakers are pointing away from the microphones. I've deliberately put it low, so that's going directly through the. Aye, basically.
There you go, right, that's good.
That's it. There should be really limited sort of interference. When we're recording like rappers that come in over backing tracks and stuff, the music's up fairly loud, but the speakers again are pointing away. So we're able to just mix it in and it works quite well, so it still works quite the same.
Anyway, sorry guys, that's not
that's cool.
at all. Obviously, unfortunately Craig's had an unfortunate Vimto experience.
I just cleaned my teeth and drank Vimto and it tastes like fucking ass in my mouth.
Ash,
so,
good.
No, arse.
Arse.
The whole batty crease area of the body.
Indeed.
Not nice.
No.
So Trump. Bit of a prick, innit? What do you think of Trump?
Well, I'm trying to work it out. Because they're saying he's got narcissistic personality disorder and so forth and all sorts of stuff.
Extremely.
I used to be married to a psychotherapist, and she used to tell me I was narcissistic and borderline personality disorder. I've no reason to disagree with her or disbelieve her, but a lot of the names that she called me, people are calling Trump. So then I'm thinking, right, anyway, that's a sidetrack. Is he actually bonkers, or is he playing a part here? You know, playing the buffoon, like the clown, the class clown when you're at school, right? So the class clown, he or she. Generally, like, they don't know what's going on. They're feeling a bit thick. They're feeling like so what they cover it up by making lots of jokes and being the class clown. And that's how they cover over the fact that they're completely out of their depth. Is that what's going on with Trump, or has it got a strategy going on, or is he genuinely like mentally ill?
I think he's genuinely mentally ill. I think he's so. He says such stupid stuff, and he speaks exactly like a toddler trying to manipulate somebody. He speaks exactly like that, and it's creepy the way he talks. And then you see the stuff he's saying, and then you hear about him being constantly changing his mind when he speaks to different advisors. He's just taking everything on. It's like he's wanting to appear to be the perfect person, and the perfect person, unfortunately, is a xenophobic cunt.
Somebody said one day, I'm not sure, I think it was like some sort of social commentator said one day that the way he speaks is like a politician would sit and figure out the kind of beginning, middle and end of the story. But Trump just seems to kind of batter on. Whatever sort of comes to his head first, he just kind of goes through these things. And so people seem to be picking up on this, like, no, this is not the way a politician speaks, this is better for us. So that's part of the reason he got a lot of votes, because he was not speaking.
That's what I'm coming from with. Is he doing this kind of deliberately, like he's what you call winging it, he's freestyling it, and just because of what you said there, Stephen, it's kind of like because people respond, well, that's why that's why he got elected, right? So
he has advisors as well. He has to have advisors there somewhere. Somebody guiding him along. And that speech at his inauguration was absolutely terrible. I don't know did you hear much of that?
No, I didn't.
It was all mainly.
I fell asleep at that point, didn't I?
Aye, pretty much. Aye. It was all mainly like we are all going to be great people. I'm going to be working for you, and there was a lot of kind of like stuff that didn't lead to anywhere. Just a lot of kind of like really general rubbish a lot of the time.
There's a lot of fucking God there as well.
Aye.
Apparently that was the most gaudy inauguration ever.
Is he a god?
Apparently he wasn't before he started running for president. He's turned into this huge Christian.
I think maybe for votes though. I think maybe for votes as well.
See, guys, the more you're saying, the more this is reinforcing my suspicion that he's deliberately at it.
Well,
that's it.
A lot of people assumed that because of the way, I don't know how fair this is, but a lot of people assumed because of the way Obama articulated himself and spoke about his love for science and stuff like that. A lot of people assumed, including Richard Dawkins and Lawrence Krauss and stuff like that, who are big atheist advocates, they think that Obama may well have been an atheist.
Right.
I think his mum or his dad was an atheist.
Right.
I can't remember which one. But they've got the opinion that he may well have been an atheist, and he had to hide the fact that he was an atheist. He had to say he was a Christian, because if you didn't, you're not going to be president.
No. Right. And
I think that's maybe what Donald Trump's doing.
So now he's a Christian. You were talking about he's surrounded by advisors, and I remember when he was president-elect, so he was president but he hadn't been inaugurated, that he apparently refused, and this was in like mainstream media as well as just the other stuff on Facebook and stuff. Anyway, apparently he declined the opportunity to go to daily CIA briefings from the Central Intelligence Agency because I'm smart enough already. He said he didn't need to go to intelligence briefings because he's already intelligent. And I'm like, wow. So he has advisors, but he was just like, I don't need it.
He said something else during that time as well, that he would start researching after he became president.
Right.
He actually said that. I think it was on live TV as well. And all his idiot fans were like, yes, fuck, knowing stuff, that's dumb.
That's the spirit. So he's saying I'm not, because like I'm not getting paid for being president yet, so I'm not doing it. It's like, so I started B&Q tomorrow, so I'll start researching screws and bolts tomorrow. I'm not doing it now, I'm doing it at company time. So yeah,
That's the thing. Every time I hear someone coming out his mouth, I'm just like, oh, people are going to feed off this. They're going to love it straight away. And I'm like, I don't like these kind of people. They're just kind of just willingly to accept all these. Years ago, fair enough, right? We didn't have the internet. We didn't have quite the access to information we had.
Sure.
But nowadays, when the access to information is there, I just can't understand these people that won't research. Did you see all the stuff he said about his the inauguration day? The pictures with Obama, the pictures of Obama's inauguration next to Trump's inauguration.
Well, the crowds, you mean?
The crowds, aye.
That turned into a huge deal for no fucking reason. It was just so petty and scared about the fact that Obama had a bigger crowd. He was the first black president. Of course, he had a fucking bigger crowd. How was that a shock to anybody? And then for him to say, "Oh no, but that happened half an hour before the inauguration." Yes, 500,000 people ran to the inauguration within half an hour. That's exactly what happened, Donald Trump. You're a fucking genius.
Because he was sitting saying it's like the biggest crowd that's ever gathered for it. It's like, stop lying. It's like, Jesus.
Yeah.
It's like you just can't help yourself. Is it like a petulant child a lot of the time?
Aye, that's what makes me think. Because David Cameron put forward the perfect sort of template of a psychopath or borderline fucking
sociopath,
antisocial personality disorder or whatever.
Right.
He put forward the perfect template of a psychopath. Somebody they're always well dressed, they're always well articulate, they're all well educated, they know exactly what they're saying, but they don't give a fucking shit about what you think.
Sure.
They just hate anything that's to do with empathy and being nice to people.
Yeah.
And I think Donald Trump is the perfect template of a sociopath, which is the lack of empathy, but not exactly the same level of articulation. And he's not as smart. He's not as well put together as David Cameron is. I think that's.
Well,
that would be.
Apparently, one of the things about my phone keeps buzzing in my pockets. I was got out here. I don't really. I suppose you don't give a fuck. You don't give a toss. Sorry, jot that one down because you can't see me. But I think it buzzing in my pocket. I think it kept buzzing.
Right.
Apparently, the thing with a psychopath is that a psychopath they're devoid of feeling. They don't have empathy.
Yeah.
Yep.
But what they do is they carefully study those around them. So, for example, you're in the staff room at work, and someone comes in and says, "Oh, did you hear about Jane? Her mum died." Now, the psychopath doesn't give a toss, couldn't care less, but looks around very carefully at the reactions that everyone else is showing, and then copies those reactions. And the better they are at being a psychopath, the better they are at showing those emotions. So David Cameron's quite good at that, because he does all that kind of false concern. Much like Tony Blair, he was always caring about this, that, and the next thing. And of course, he didn't. He was a scum. He was a dirt, as is Cameron. So Trump, therefore, is a very poor psychopath. Because he's got all the kind of not caring stuff off pat, but he's not got the pretending stuff at all. He's rubbish at it. So so he must be something else, not a psychopath.
Sociopath.
That's a sociopath,
Yeah.
right? Okay.
I was going to ask, has anybody analysed Theresa May in that sense yet?
She'd probably be a psychopath as well. You
I'm assuming
get
just
to be Prime Minister without having some sort of anti-personal.
That's the same I say as about entertainers. You have to have some sort of psychopath ability to want to go on stage and talk to lots and lots of people. You kind of have to have some sort of thing happening in your head.
Attention-seeking megalomania, diva type stuff.
Well, when you hear psychopathy and sociopaths and stuff like, you automatically assume dick, somebody that's evil and bad.
Yeah.
But firefighters a lot of the time are psychopaths. They need to shut off that fear emotion.
Yeah.
Bankers, for instance, as well. All these people with huge amounts of money.
Bankers.
Right, come on.
Well, I know.
Nice ones here, Steve.
I would just add to you.
Like policemen who aren't killing black people, and firefighters who are protecting people properly, and people like that who are putting themselves in danger in order to save other people. You need to shut off your emotions in that sort of situation. So it's not always a bad thing, but in Donald Trump's case, it's pretty bad.
Yeah, shut off. See, I reckon, you look at, and I agree with, mostly what you said, in order to be an effective leader of a prime minister or something, it's very helpful to be a psychopath or to have some kind of personality disorder. But every now and again someone comes along who kind of, maybe they're the exception that proves the rule. Now, Tommy Sheridan, the guy says himself, he's Marmite. You either love him or you hate him. I happen to love the guy. I think he's a wonderful guy. To me, Tommy is a guy who, at its peak, solidarity was a Scots Socialist Party at that time. We were riding away, we had 6 MSPs, we were making changes, we had thousands and thousands of members. So Tommy, along with Rosemary, the co-convener, Rosemary Byrne, the co-convener, were effectively leading a large group of people, succeeding really well in politics, but without being a psychopath, without being that special kind of wanker, and having that dual personality, or just being the wanker, which is what Trump is, without having the dual personality. So it just shows you there is hope that you might one day end up with someone who's really, truly, thoroughly decent and also a great leader. But it does seem that in order to be, you're right, I concede that 99 times 100 to be a great leader, it appears you just need to be a bit of a robot.
Well, here's the thing, in politics a lot of it is who's got the most money and they're going to fund the next president or prime minister. Tommy Sheridan, if he's in that situation, he's not going to say let's go and bomb Iraq.
That's right.
So he's not going to get the support of the people with the money, whereas the psychopath is going to say, oh fuck it, we'll just bomb Iraq, that'll be fine. And then that's how they get placed into
Did
positions.
Trump know the other day put forward some action that killed a child or something?
Aye. So we're going to talk about this.
Right.
I'm sure you've heard all this talk that Trump's a dick, but at least he's not Hillary Clinton and he's not a warmonger and all this stuff.
I've participated with you. We've got slightly different views on this, so it's good.
Yeah. The first airstrike that happened under Donald Trump's orders killed an 8-year-old American girl. So that's within 10 days he's already killed 2 innocent civilians. So I don't think he's going to be any different from what Obama was. He's already well on his way to starting another war with Iran, and I didn't see him pulling out Afghanistan. I mean, they're already meant to be out of Afghanistan, and he's just left it. He's just left it the way it is.
So there's a thing, and maybe I'm shooting off a sidetrack here, but Trump's got this whole thing about I'm a businessman, I'm just pragmatic, I don't get swayed with the emotion of stuff, I'm very straightforward, and so I'm the man to be president because I'm a businessman, dollars and cents and so forth. What makes sense? That's what we're going to do. We're not going to do anything dumb because I'm a smart guy. So you say, well, all you care about is America, and all I care is America, and make America great again. And essentially, what I did get of his inauguration speech is basically saying that he's fed up, helping all these kind of Jesse countries that are not America, and we should only help ourselves, and these other countries can just go whistle, right? Yeah. So then you're like, well, in that case, right, you're giving something like $4 billion a year to Israel to maintain its illegal occupation of Palestine. $4 billion, that's a lot of stuff. Like, you could, if you genuinely don't care about anything except America, you could save yourself a shed load of money by simply stop giving money to Israel. Now, it happens to be a morally very good thing to do, to stop giving money to Israel, but it doesn't have to be. If that's all you care about, put your money where your straightforward, common sense, logical mouth is. Be like Spock on Star Trek and say, £4 billion is not logical. Neither is going and bombing places logical. It costs a bloody fortune to go and bomb somewhere. You know, you've got to buy the plane, put the fuel in it, fly it. The bombs themselves cost an absolute bloody fortune. And so you could save billions and billions. Maybe you could save trillions by just not bombing anyone. And yet, he still wants to bomb people. So how does that work out? If he's a common sense guy.
I have no idea. I don't know how people. It's tends to be. It's actually annoyingly. It's the group that are had named the skeptics and the rationalists, the one that talk about science and stuff like that are trying to come across as rational by saying Trump's not that bad. He's not a warmonger. And then I see these things where 8-year-old American lassie is killed, and I'm like, oh, how is that? How are you able to go from the scientific mind of seeing evidence and then putting your opinion where the evidence takes you, and then going to this fucker and saying, he's all right? I didn't understand it. I
misunderstood. I thought you were talking about the other argument that people are saying on Facebook, and you and I have talked about this on Facebook, where people say that Hillary Clinton was see, I'm not swearing, so it's difficult for me to articulate this. Hillary Clinton was a monster in disguise, but Trump is a monster without the disguise, and therefore Trump is better because he's a monster, but he's not disguised. And then the thing that I usually say about that, the evidence I bring to back that up, is that the thing is that Trump, everything he says, even if he ever manages to say something sensible, he sounds like a tit, because he talks like a tit. He sounds like a tit. Yep. Whereas Hillary Clinton's got that whole... She actually sounds like she's president already, right? Yep. She has a lot of practice. She was married to one. And she says stuff with this really calm, rational voice. Now, that's the kind of psychopath and nutter you've got to really watch out for, because they sound so convincing. They don't sound like me. I get myself all worked up. I get passionate, right? So I'm not dangerous. Hillary Clinton's dangerous. She said, one of the things we want to do, maybe I should do it without the accent because I'm sounding left out. I'll try to in my indoors lady voice. She said, one of the things we want to do is we need to establish a no-fly zone over Syria for the safety of the civilians. Yeah. And you think, if you don't look into that too deeply, you think, oh, that's kind of cool. Yeah, that sounds good. Because she didn't say no-fly zone. She just said, like, no. Now, the implications of that, right? Russian warplanes are flying over Syria right now. They were flying over Syria when she said that. So then you think, Mike, then the reality of what she said sinks in, the implications. Are you kidding me? A no-fly zone means you shoot down anything that's in the air. So American jets are going to shoot down Russian jets? Fuck! Who's the lunatic? Yeah. Who's the lunatic here? So that argument, that carries some weight, right? So Hillary Clinton was definitely a monster, but she just carried off with, like, you know, having the whole kind of presidential demeanour about her. So we hope, the world hopes, that most world leaders of other countries around the world are going to take Trump with a pinch of salt, because he's so obviously a buffoon. But, you know, they might have really listened carefully to Hillary Clinton. We'd be a lot more screwed then than we are now. That's the argument I thought you were getting into.
See, I sincerely hope that I'm wrong about Trump, and that, because I wrote an article, right, and I'll go on about how bad my writing is in a minute. But the worry that I had is the thing with Bush, when Bush invaded Iraq and Afghanistan and all that. Yeah. Dick Cheney got a lot of shit for that. And it seems that Trump talks about torture and doubling down on torture, and he gets cheers. Yeah. I don't know if being a psychopath and looking like you're nice is worse than having an army of people behind you cheering at the thought of torturing brown people. Yeah. I don't know what one's worse for me. Personally, I would say the people backing it as opposed to the psychopath. But again, I totally agree about Hillary being awful as well. Yeah. And I totally accept that might be worse. But in this case, I fear that having support behind them is worse in this case.
Alright. Well,
we're never going to know, because I don't know if, thankfully, Hillary didn't get elected. I don't know if I could be thankful for that. Thankfully that didn't happen, I'm going to say it. And hopefully we never see what Trump does that badly, hopefully.
Has there been any sort of like coalition between the US and the UK at the moment, between Trump and any politicians here? Obviously Farage, but he's nothing to do with anything, so fuck him.
May was in America a few days ago, a week ago.
Yeah, they're holding hands.
For God's sake.
It's just bizarre. It's just bizarre. And
were they holding hands?
They were holding hands, and everybody thought that it was like fake news. Everyone thought it was like Photoshop. But it wasn't. It was like they had footage of it, like the BBC had footage of it. As they came, they were scampering around the White House, and they came down the set of steps, and so Trump decides he's going to hold Theresa May's hand like she's a granny or something, and he holds her hand right up until they get to the podiums where they're going to stand and talk to the press, and then they let go of each other's hand and they stand and talk separately. Jeez. It's just like, wow, dude. Right, what? That's way to just intrude on the kind of the dignity of me, and yet, but she doesn't in any way appear to be resentful about it whatsoever. She's rolling with it,
Well, he's the president, isn't he?
Yeah, so it's like Love Actually when Bill Clinton is snogging that woman off EastEnders in Downing Street. It's like that. I don't know. It's just amazing. I'm the president of the United States, so you need to be in awe of me.
Well, Jesus. See, that's the thing.
So we should be happy it was only her hand that he grabbed, I suppose. Actually, I'm really sure he could grab whatever he wants. I think about it. It's only Theresa May after all.
Wow. Right, so we've got into his actually, no, we won't. First of all, you fix English for a living, don't you?
That's what I do, yeah.
So what do you think of my blog?
Well, I've only read one. I read the one about Mexico and Trump and migration. And that was fine as far as I remember, because I do have a bit of I've got a bit of a obsession.
You're a grammar Nazi by any chance? One of the
grammar Nazi. I'm definitely a grammar Nazi. Yeah, definitely. It's one of the few things that I'm any good at, and so I tend to make the most of it. As I remember, it was perfectly fine, because you said something in a note about your blog. You said the first half, I warn you now, the first half is better than the second half, and the second half just kind of goes to shit.
Yeah.
And I read it and thought, looks fine to me.
Well, it's maybe just the way I write it.
But you might have been tricking me by having very interesting ideas to take my eye off your grammar. I don't know. I'll have to go back again.
Oh, the grammar's fine. I'm also a grammar Nazi.
All right.
I thought
that's what you meant.
No. It's more a syntax, sort of structure of the sentences and stuff like that.
Yeah.
That's what I struggle with.
Right.
And the first half, it seems to come perfectly well to me.
Okay.
I get it all done well and right properly. And then the second half, it's like I get bored.
Right.
And then it starts to just ramble on, like long form sentences.
Well,
I just like fucking.
We discussed this the other day. I was like, well, mainly if you get the idea for an article, you've got everything in your mind you want to write, but near the end, you're just trying to finish it off because you've no written as I said earlier, a beginning, a middle, and an end.
No,
you've just wrote. You've just continued on, sort of thing. So I imagine that's why.
Because this is why I didn't write as many, because I used to write a blog, and it was in my conspiracy theory day where I believed in the Illuminati was controlling everything.
Okay.
And,
that's funny.
Let's not go into that. But I stopped writing because of that issue of getting halfway through and being fine, and then the last half is shit.
Sure.
And so I thought, well, there's no point in doing this. I'm putting in way more work to get a mediocre written article.
Yeah.
And I could just do shorter posts on Facebook and then just share it. That seems much easier.
Got you.
But I prefer writing the article.
Yeah. The very few people will read a long article all the way to the end anyway, so that's probably how you've been getting away with it. People only, not because it's you, just because it's an article, people read about halfway and then that's it. I left school when I was 16 because I'd moved around so many different schools when I was a boy. Dad was in the Navy. I left school at 16, no qualifications, and I had to go back when I was about 25, 30, something like that. I went to college to get what we used to call all grades and hires. No idea what they're called now. So anyway, I was doing this higher English course at Kirkcaldy Tech College, it used to be called. And when we did the essay bit, studying for the higher, the lecturer used to say, no, you have to do what you just said. You have to have like an essay plan. Beginning, middle, end, and some bullet points, like a skeleton. Yep. And then you start writing, putting the flesh on. And the way that I was writing is I just write, bam, 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 and then when I realise the time's coming to an end, if it's a short story or something, I'll just think of an ending, there's an ending, whatever. That's the way I write, generally. So I must hand these essays in to the lecturer, and she would say, that's really good, Bill, but, you didn't have an essay plan. And I'm thinking, but you're happy with what I've written. You're just getting a bit pedantic here. So what I used to do, genuinely, what I used to do was what I was doing is write an essay, finish the essay, give myself 5 minutes to then write the essay plan to make it look like I worked on the essay plan, hand the two of them together, and the woman was happy. There you go. I kept her happy. So what I do now is I do quite a bit of writing and about either politics or also about my business as well. I do like posts about my business and being self-employed. So I do exactly the same. I write it all out, bam, 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 stream of consciousness, but then I go back and I look at it and then start editing it, and cutting and pasting, and generally shortening it because I write like a talk. It's too long. Too long. I've got one ambition in life, and it's brevity.
Do you leave it a couple of days to go back and check it or something like that? Or?
In an ideal world, that's what you do, because I'll tell you, it's amazing what you see. It's amazing what you see. And in my job, I do proofreading, so people give me stuff like the website or the brochure or the magazine. I tend to work with businesses to find spelling mistakes. They'll give me stuff, or they'll ask me to basically to write it for them. They'll give me the bullet points and I'll write it. So ideally, especially if it's a long document, I'll correct the document, find all the mistakes, and if I can, I'll do exactly what you said there. I'll put it in a drawer for 2 days and then come back and get it back out again. And it's just incredible. It's amazing. You look at it with new light. It's like you suddenly put the light on. It's amazing what you'll see. You missed the first time. So
it's the same as a lot of music producers do. They'll make a beat, and then because they've been concentrating on it all day, they've kind of lost the sense of kind of artistry they started off with at the beginning. And then they'll maybe go for a meal or something like that, and they come back later on, or as I say, in a couple of days, then they've got a whole fresh new perspective. So there's a lot of them do that.
I'm exactly like that with Minecraft.
Alright, I've never tried Minecraft.
That's a joke.
Pathetic.
That's a joke. That was a fucking joke.
Absolutely pathetic game.
That's good. I think Minecraft.
Most pathetic.
I used to think it was about blowing stuff up, but apparently it's the complete opposite. You're building cities.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
Minecraft,
yeah.
how does that work? Because you go in a mine and you make bricks, and I don't know. I was at Minecraft. Like more
You
fun
can
than
blow
that.
shit up.
It's
You can
basically
blow shit up. That's good.
They've got TNT on it.
All right, good, because you need that in your mine, I
You
guess.
do need that. And mining's, you very rarely use it in mining, to be honest.
All right, that's unfortunate.
You're showing your lack of knowledge on Minecraft
That's
here.
right, and mining. And,
It's pretty embarrassing having you
That's
here.
right. Fortunately, I'm not a careers advisor, kid. So if you do want to go into mining, I wouldn't bother because it's Scotland there aren't any. And also, you don't get to use TNT, so just do something groovy like join Solidarity instead.
Or you can stop using the word groovy.
Groovy's
So it's
good.
a
Groovy's good.
possibility.
At some point, like flared trousers, it will come back. And I'm just hanging on. I'm hanging on.
I'd verbally put a bit of money on that. That's never going to come back.
Groovy will definitely come back. The flared trousers, I'm thinking that's not a safe bet. But the safe bet is we'd have to go into some kind of escrow account with some, I don't know, somebody who's going to be alive for a long time. But that will definitely come back. I'm a loyal person. I'm a man of loyalty, and I'm loyal to that word. Groovy's groovy. There you go.
What was the word you were talking about somebody using? Or was it Dad that was talking about it?
I'm not sure, man. You brought up a conversation.
That was a stupid
might
word.
be.
Doesn't matter.
Right.
Let's fucking move on.
Good.
Immigration.
Aye.
This is always a fun topic. What's your thoughts on people moving to houses and stuff?
Immigration.
What's your
That's what immigration is, isn't it?
Aye. Well, that's like where we evolved from like the Stone Age into the next stage. We moved out of caves and into houses, and we just called it immigration. Aye, that's right. So it is. Here's my thought on immigration. Right, I've got a number of thoughts on immigration. One of them is the basic one. As a socialist, I believe in open borders, and so when we have this idea that within Britain we're going to have quotas, or that Australia has a point system, and Trump's going to have, fuck knows what he's going to do with people who want to move to the United States, so he's going to stop them. The idea that you could say that you're okay to come into my country and you're not okay because you've got a special set of skills, or you're from a good country and you're from a bad country, that doesn't wash with me at all. There's a logic, there is a kind of a logic to sort of say, well, we need lots of doctors, so if you're a doctor you should be able to jump in the queue. I can kind of see that, although I don't agree with it. I can follow the logic in it.
Yeah.
But this idea is saying, well, if you come from country A, i.e. at the moment any country in the European Union, you can come in, but if you come from country B, you can't. What you're saying there is you're saying that some people are more deserving than others. You're saying that some people are better than others. And here's the thing, and I bang on about this all the time. A couple of years ago I was out in Kos working with refugees, and I'm working with Syrians and I'm working with Afghanis and so forth, and the people that you'd expect, right, refugees. And then I find that I'm also working with a bunch of people from Pakistan. I'm like, wait a minute, there's loads of people from Pakistan in Britain. So how come you're having to illegally get yourself in as like an illegal immigrant to come to Britain if you're from Pakistan? Turns out that what Britain did when we had our Raj, our empire over in the Indian subcontinent, because we invented Pakistan, it didn't exist before we went there, it was just one big landmass. We invented the border and said that's Pakistan. So in the days when we were over there in the Commonwealth, that's part of our empire, and Queen Victoria was scampering around, we said to all these countries that we invaded, we said, don't worry because we'll give you a passport. It was like kind of like a patronising thing, like a wee token. Nothing was ever supposed to happen about you. You're just supposed to stay in your country and shut up and just like be my servant or be my tea walla or something like that. But don't worry, but here's a wee passport, like a wee bribe to keep you happy. And then unfortunately these guys from these countries, they started actually taking us up on the offer and saying, I've got a British passport, I'll come to Britain then. I'm coming to Britain. That was kind of okay because we had a shrinking population, we needed more people to come in and so forth, and so we allowed them to come in. And then, once the European Union got going, we were part of the European Union, we thought to ourselves, well, if we're going to have all these people coming from Holland, France and Spain, well, sod these people from Pakistan, so we change the rules. We change the rules. So, on Friday, you were eligible, and you were a good person to come to Britain. But on the Monday, now you're not anymore. If you want to come to Britain, you're going to have to smuggle in through the back door. How does that work? How could you be a desirable person on Friday and not a desirable person on Monday, and you haven't done anything bad over the weekend, right? It's not like when you go out on a Saturday night and you do something really stupid and you get locked up and then you're a criminal. No, you just change. So there's one thing, open borders. If you're going to open your borders and let some people in, you have to let everyone in, because otherwise where's your equality, right? Where's your equality? And what's going to happen is you're going to start off with all your nicey sounding Hillary Clinton-y type ideas about, oh, there's a logic behind this, establish a no-fly zone. But very quickly, what you're going to do is you're going to slump and sink and decay into basic bigotry and prejudice. Don't like Turks, don't like Pakistanis, don't like Afghanis, etc., etc. So that one, to me, is out the window. But here's the thing. Here's the next bit, right? Here's the next bit. Right, last weekend we had this. I helped organise this event at a mosque in Kirkcaldy, and it was called a charity banquet with a question mark after it. Right, so a charity banquet, right? So you have to imagine the question mark. And the idea behind this charity banquet, it was Free Fife, the racial equalities charity. It was Frontline Fife, the homeless charity. It was Kirkcaldy Central Mosque, the one by Cumberry Terrace, so that's getting built at the moment, all nice and shiny. And a company called Insure Smart, who's an insurance company, put lots of money in. And Caspian Takeaway from Temple Hall in Kirkcaldy. All these people.
My favourite place, man.
There you go, Caspian. Can't go wrong. Caspian Takeaway, Temple Hall, Kirkcaldy, loads of free food. All the food free. So what we did was, we had this, like, and I got involved with these guys to help. So what we did, we had this, like, big banquet that we laid on for all the homeless people. Now, normally a charity banquet, right, it's all the toffs and in the nice frocks or in the dinner suit with a bow tie, and you pay £100 a ticket, and then you swan around and there's a celebrity speaker, and then after it they count up all the money that they've got and they go and use it for a charity. And nothing wrong with that, that's fine, but we did it the other way around. We said the VIP guests are homeless and vulnerable people in Fife. So what this did was it got some of the homeless and vulnerable people in Fife to come in and get a slap-up meal. And we got Craig Brown, the former Scotland manager. He was a speaker. So we thought, this is not bad, this is no mean shakes. This is turning into something quite classy. Craig Brown, you can't go wrong. Very good speaker. So the mosque then is doing this, and this is good for the homeless people. It's good for the mosque, for the relations between the Muslim community and the wider community, the mosque community and the community. Mm-hmm. So I was talking to loads of people there, right, about integration. When I was talking to the Pakistani people and the people whose families originally come from Pakistan, but some of them have been here for 3 generations. Integration. Here where I get to the point of my long rambling. Remember when I said I wasn't very good at short stuff, right? Here's me getting to my point. We hear a lot about integration. So if you want to come to the country, then what you should do is you should learn a language, pass a citizenship test, learn about history, Oliver Cromwell and so forth. Language, clothes, you should wear our clothes. You should probably become a Christian, even though nobody in Britain ever goes to bloody church anymore. Basically, you should come here and act like a nice, white, middle-class David Cameron person, and then you'll be acceptable to us. And what kind of diversity is that? You come to my country and you've got to dress, behave. What about this food that you eat? Stop eating all that food, eat the food that we eat. Yeah, what, like chicken tikka masala? That kind of food, is that what you're talking about? So, integration. So I'm talking to all these guys who are all kind of various generation Pakistanis and saying to them, I don't want to see you guys integrating if you don't want to. If you want to move into the house next to me, right, and you want to wear your traditional Pakistani dress, or you want to move from Saudi and wear that big long gown that the men wear, goes all the way to the floor, and so Galabea it's called. You want to wear all that stuff. What difference does it make to me? It doesn't make any difference to me. All it is this whole integration pitch. All this idea of the citizenship test, and I've got a friend, Algerian guy, took the citizenship test, and he passed it. Mm-hmm. And then he started asking me questions from it, man. I couldn't answer them, right? I couldn't answer them. I'm 55 years old, right? I've been Scottish or British for 55 years. I haven't got a clue what year did Oliver Cromwell win the Russian Revolution or something. I don't know.
I'd love to see some politicians just put in a hall, say, look, you take the citizenship.
So remember that monkey was some kind of education secretary, and he went to a primary school, and the kids were beating him on maths questions. Remember? And they asked him what's 7 times 20, and he didn't know. And then they said, no, you're wrong. And they told him it was just like little kids in the school beating him. Same sort of thing. So integration, right? So imagine you're in Kennoway. Like Kennoway's like Dysart. I live in Dysart. It's a little town, right? And Kennoway's a little town. Kennoway's bigger than Dysart, so you win. But it's this little town. There's not a lot of people who aren't just like white Scottish people going about, right? Yeah. You've got the odd person, maybe Pakistan. The odd person is Chinese, right? And that's basically a lot. There's no diversity. Then you go to you got the big city, man. You got Glasgow. You go to London or something like that. And you say, wow, look at this. Mm-hmm. Look at all these guys, all the skins of different colour, different clothes, different music, different everything. And I think, what would I choose? I would choose to have that kind of ethnic mix, if you like, in Dysart. I don't want to move to London. I want to stay in Dysart, but I want the same kind of ethnic diversity all over Fife. Mm-hmm. What I don't want is all these people coming from all these countries, all these traditions, and all this food, and all this really exciting stuff, and dumbing it down just so they can look and sound and eat like me. What a lost opportunity. What a pile of crap. And this is my final point. This is my third final point. Here's my third final point.
Good at English, but shit at maths. That's the
good at English, shit at maths. Yeah, good. You've lost me there, so that's good.
What are you talking about?
I don't know.
He said his third final point.
Oh, yeah, good English. Yeah,
right.
That's right. Good English, get bad at maths. Good, see, that was way above my head. If you got a job out in Saudi Arabia and it says, right, Craig, what we need someone like you. Young, handsome, talented and good looking, and good at fiddling knobs on the computer and talking into
Oh,
microphones.
hey, let's not get into my private life, though.
Alright. We need you, and we're going to let your brother come as well, because you're both young, handsome, good looking, good at twiddling knobs, going to be talking into microphones, and we've got a shortage of such people in Saudi. Are we going to pay you? We're going to pay you like insane amounts of money, because we all know, like, we're rich and all. I don't know, it's like £10,000 a month. That's a lot of cash, right? And you'll get paid in US dollars. Anyway, it's a lot of money. So, fantastic. 12-month contract, right? You're going to come out for a 12-month contract. You might jump at the chance. You might say, okay, I'll do that, get a few quid together, come back, and then I can use all the money that I've earned to alleviate poverty in the Kennyway area, or something, right? But during the time that you're out in Saudi, are you going to learn Arabic? Are you going to never speak to a woman unless she's with a husband? Are you going to dress in the Saudi Arabian way? Are you going to go to mosque on a Friday? No, of course you're not. You're just going to keep on doing what you've been doing. And when people start whinging on about you why you're not going to mosque, and say, I'm not going to mosque, man, I'm not Saudi, I'm not Muslim, leave me alone. I'm here because I'm good at twiddling knobs and talking into microphones. So
I'll
leave
be
me alone.
arrested for that in Saudi Arabia, which is an issue.
There you go. That's what I think about integration.
I totally agree. I've been talking about this. In America, the argument is more about being colourblind and not seeing colour. That I want to see colour. I want to have a black friend. I want to have a white friend, a brown friend. I want to have gay friends, transgender friends. I didn't want to have just lots of friends. I want to have specific
They all share the
friends.
same thing. There's a huge problem up here where everybody has the same jobs. Everybody has the same exact culture behind what they're doing.
Yeah.
Everybody just is the
Everybody's
same.
got the same girlfriend.
Yeah.
Or they've had the same girlfriend.
That's a joke I always make about here because it's so small that everybody's shagged everybody. It's basically
Alright.
it's just the way it goes.
That's good.
And people complain.
They don't
Weirdly.
like it.
They don't like that joke.
That one time that woman on who was a dominatrix.
Oh.
There was something out of the ordinary, and you got like thousands and thousands more listeners than you normally get, because it wasn't just the same old.
That's
There
it.
you go. Although the dominatrix sex angle probably helped, but still, it's something completely different, and your ratings went through the roof. Yeah.
We regret the way we act, because we act like fucking children. On
we were
that, 'cause
total
knew
children with
nothing
that.
about it. We were just like, oh, so you play with willies, like proper childish fuckers.
Yeah.
And she was talking serious stuff, and I came up with a joke about making Frankensub or something like that. It was just a ridiculous thing, and I felt horrible for it. But I guess I think people maybe responded more to the fact that I knew nothing about it, instead of me saying, yes, the BDSM stands for blah blah blah, and all that. So I don't know.
Well, see, when you were saying that, I had two names jumped into my head: Jeremy Vine, right, and Scott Wilson. Scott Wilson used to do this thing on some radio station. It was on Talk Radio, Talk 107. That used to exist, doesn't exist now. And he did something for Forth 2 as well. Forth 2 many years ago. He did something for Forth 2, like a talk show. And Jeremy Vine does this like talk show, right? Now, Jeremy Vine, I was listening to him today. I think it's Jeremy Vine. I get them mixed up. Him and the one that comes after him. He's always asking like really cheeky, facetious questions. Really cheeky, facetious. Whoever he's talking to, and you can tell he's kind of gently taking the piss in a friendly way, in a soft way. But his questions are great because they're what we're all thinking. So when Jeremy Vine gets a guest on, or someone phones him up and says, "Oh, I'm a chemist," or whatever, he doesn't play the part of "I've scrupulously researched this and I'm an expert in your subject." He asks the daft laddie questions, and that's exactly what Scott Wilson did as well.
Yep.
I remember Scott Wilson had the guy from the Federation of British Showmen, or Showman's Guild or something, when the Links Market was in Kirkcaldy, had this guy on. It was the 700th anniversary, so I had this guy on that owned the waltzes or something. And so he starts asking like really dopey questions, like how much does that cost, could I buy one, and stuff like that. Really dopey question. And then I was speaking to him afterwards, the Scott Wilson guy, because it was part of a council thing. Anyway, long story, but I was speaking to Scott Wilson afterwards. I says, were you taking the piss? Were you like, because I said it was like Jeremy Viney, it's kind of like treading that line. And he says, no, he says, I'm asking the questions that I think everyone wants to know.
Yeah.
So there's my long story there about, it's probably quite a good idea that you asked those dopey questions, or didn't know anything about this dominatrix woman when she came in.
Well, a perfect example of that kind of dopey question is we had a sort of worldwide renowned physicist on the show.
Wow.
What was his name again?
I know, but you're talking.
Ross Gillanders.
Ross Gillanders, aye.
I say worldwide because he works in Croatia.
Okay.
That's the only.
It's quite far
thing.
away.
But he's at St Andrews University or Dundee University or one.
Aye.
And he came in and he's this huge physicist. I looked at his qualifications and I couldn't even pronounce the qualifications that he had.
Yeah.
It was ridiculous. And the first thing I asked him was how the boomerangs work.
Yes. That's
And
good.
he sat and he was like, something about torque. I don't know. I was like, fucking got you!
Brilliant.
Fucking did I get all fucking boomerangs
There
with
you
it?
go.
This is a guy that's designing a thing, basically a robot
A
taking
bomb detector.
a mine detector, basically.
All right.
They detects mines, obviously they hoping to save a lot of people.
Yeah.
And I think he explained a lot more. You probably have to listen to the podcast for to even understand it. But a lot of the stuff he was talking about, I wanted to get a bit in depth. And then I was like, actually, let's know, because wow, that was
You've said
over
it
the
with 3
top stuff.
sentences and I've lost my mind. I can't understand it.
Physics is amazing.
Oh,
It's like trippy, man. It's amazing.
It's really fun to listen to, but I've no idea.
No, I have no idea.
No.
I can't even follow like the stuff on the Big Bang Theory, and that's just like kind of dumbed down.
Well,
stuff, you know.
there's a fucking story for that as well.
Yeah.
We watched an episode of the Big Bang Theory.
Totally. Aye.
And there's a wee nerdy part of me where if someone's mentioned, I'm like, fuck, I need to Google that.
Yeah, I do that all the time.
So he said Leonard was talking to Penny about it was some romantic thing, and he said, I'm not even going to tell you why the cheese on a pizza seems hotter than the crust.
Okay.
And I was like, obviously it is at some point. That's how this show works.
Sure.
And I sat and I waited and I waited. I was like, he's not fucking saying this.
They just went to the next scene.
Then I went to the next scene. I was like, you bastards, you've not told me why. So I went right fucking to it. And it's because the radiation and not the radiation, that's mental. Something and cheese gives more heat than the crust. The crust keeps the heat in,
Right.
and the cheese sort of pushes the heat out.
Okay.
So they're the same heat, but it just feels.
Genius.
You might need to Google it yourself because I'm apparently shit at physics. But
No, but see, I do that, and this is like I recently got a telly. I didn't have when I've had telly all the time I've been married. I've been married 8 years, never had a telly. I now have got a telly. Right, I'm going to keep the story short.
capitalist.
Got a telly. So, and I got it cheap though, so that's good. Anyway, for these last 8 years, I've been watching everything on catch-up TV. Yeah. And I've been thinking, oh, maybe it'd be better if I had a telly, but I don't want a telly, so I'm going to have a telly. Now I've got a telly. Telly's crap. Reason being, right, if you want to pause it and go Google something, you can't. You're Googling away, then you look up and it's 3 scenes on. Whereas what I've discovered what I do, I just pause it. Because I work at home, when I say work at home, I'm at home all day, my wife's out working, so I'm watching telly for the day. I just pause stuff like that and Google it. And I Google stuff all the time. I'm watching Homeland at the moment. Homeland, yes.
Homeland's amazing. What season are you?
I'm way back. They're actually showing it on telly now.
Yeah,
she's been in Germany and she's just thwarted the underground sarin attack from this group of Syrians who got let out of prison. Sorry, is that ahead of where you are?
I was on season 1. I never actually watched it.
I assume that everyone's ahead of me because I'm such a Luddite.
Well,
right, sorry, I just ruined it for you. Now
that's all right.
I've not watched any of it, so
it's great. It's amazing.
It's just fantastic. So yeah, they're always coming out with stuff, and I have to go and check it. It's great. You just pause, go check. But also, right then, like you're learning stuff. You know what I mean? So
are they quite accurate on Homeland with
when I
information?
Google it, it's right. Yeah, Google it, it's right. So, unless they're also all getting their facts from Google, which is wrong, right? I know, like, there's no problem. I checked with the same book that they looked at.
Here's the problem. If I remembered everything that I learned, I'd be the smartest guy in the world. But I have the memory of a sieve.
Yes.
Do you remember anything that you Google?
Well, sometimes.
Or is that what you write everything?
I write a lot of stuff. I was going to come back about Dara O'Brien, but I decided not to. Where was I going with this? Oh, right. Smart people are remembering stuff, right? Here's another thing about smart people remembering stuff. How important is the script of stuff that you've got here?
It's not.
It's not, right? Good. Because not Dara O'Brien. What's that guy? Stephen Fry.
Yeah.
Dara O'Brien, he's a nice guy. Stephen Fry, I don't like Stephen Fry. He's always looking down his nose at me, and I've got a bit of a complex about that, right? So, Stephen Fry, everyone thinks is really clever, right? But here's my thing, right? I'm like, dude, if I had the fucking answers in front of me, I'd be clever as well. So he goes on QI, and he asks 100 questions, and some people get it right, you get it wrong, he gets it right, you get the meh thing, because you've got the curly hair and everything like that, right? And Stephen Fry sits there all snooty and supercilious, says, well, no, as everybody knows, actually, gravity makes things fall down to earth. Now, listen, that's okay. You've got it written down in front of you. You don't need to be clever. I could do that. I could even talk with a posh accent. I went to boarding school. He's not clever. He's got the answers. It's like that quiz show they've got, The Chase. And you got the guy who's a chaser. I'm convinced, right, that he's got the answers in front of him because he can't see, right? So he stands at the top there and he's got the big screen in front of him. Mm-hmm. He's got a laptop. And he's got his telling the answers.
There's no way they could be that good at answering general knowledge questions.
So he was a pop quiz champion, the big guy.
One
How
thing.
do I know that though? See, you have to Google it and then you don't.
Right.
But see what I mean? So Quizmasters being how do we know? The thing is, we don't know that Stephen Fry is stupid, right?
No, here's the thing.
I don't know he's clever either, and that bugs me because everyone thinks he is, and it's not been proven yet.
Well, it has.
Right.
Right. So here we go. Right. There was an episode where Alan Davies.
He's a curly guy. That's the one.
Alan Davies brought this exact point up. Oh, it's easy to say that when you got the fucking answers in front of you.
Good, right.
And Stephen Fry stood up and walked there to Alan Davies' seat and sat down and was like, "Cool, you ask the question."
If you think it's so easy,
and Alan Davies took out a list of questions that he'd been waiting for.
All right,
and he went out of the seat and he started asking loads of questions. Stephen Fry knew every single fucking one of the answers, except the football one. He's not a football fan.
No, neither am I. Well, that's good because Stephen Fry himself says, and I tried reading Stephen Fry's book about halfway through. It's a dreadful book. It's rubbish, really badly written.
He's written about 6 or 7 books.
The one that I read was rubbish. It was his autobiography, and it was talking about his time when he was at boarding school, falling in love with some boy. It was just dreadful. Fall in love with a boy if you want, but just write about it and give it a bit of pizzazz, eh? But he was writing as if he was 12. Like when he fell in love with his boy, he was like 12 or 14 or something. But the writing was like he just regressed, and he was writing as if he was 12. I was like, dude. Anyway, I don't like him anyway, so it doesn't matter. Point being that he says, I'm not clever, I've just got fantastic memory. That's what he says. He says, I can remember everything that I've learned, just what you said there. Whereas I was casting doubt, and even if he could do that. But I like that story about the curly boy trying to catch him out on the show. That's a good story.
See, when do you consider yourself to be smart or clever or
Let's bring somebody else into the conversation, another kind of well-known guy that just remembers stuff. He has the documents.
Alex Jones.
How much do you know about Alex Jones? Well,
nothing. Alex Jones sings opera thingies about Alex.
You don't know about Alex
Jones? Oh, she's a wee Welsh woman.
No.
Good try.
It's great. You've never heard of Alex Jones.
You've never heard
You're
of
going to love this.
or Prison Planet?
No.
Bear
in mind, I've not. Has this been on the telly in the last 8 years?
No. But he's been on TV
internet.
Sometimes. He's
a famous internet conspiracy theorist.
Oh, is he? Oh, good boy.
Aye.
I like a good conspiracy theory. Aye.
Well, this guy's like nutty conspiracy theories.
You know who Joe Rogan is?
Who?
Joe Rogan.
No.
Well, he was on Joe Rogan's. He was on a podcast, and he was talking about a big paedophile ring that was uncovered in the US with politicians. Andrew White, someone
just broke the news yesterday, so they were just talking about that yesterday.
So he was talking about that, and then he started talking about how the US government hides this child paedophile ring in order to appease the psychic vampires.
Psychic vampires.
Right. He's a fucking.
There comes a point when even someone like me likes a conspiracy theory. At some point, you know, I'm going to say, "Hi, I'm sorry, Lucy." Psychic vampires are like, "I'm sorry, guys."
So one thing you're not a huge believer of psychic vampires.
I've never heard of a psychic vampire, but I'm not up for it.
I hope it was a metaphor.
I'm a gut reaction sort of person. I'm like, psychic. Well, if it was a metaphor, then you don't know. You'd have to go back and see what you know.
One thing you'll love
the way
is
he says it with so much conviction. You honestly think
so much passion.
Literal.
Yeah.
You'll love the fact I've prepared a clip. You ready for this? Aye.
I didn't kidding.
Is this of Alex Jones?
This is of Alex Jones from his original show. He was talking about this is just something that he said. I'll talk about it after once I've finished. Great. This is just a small section of something he said on his show a while ago.
And I'm not saying people didn't naturally have homosexual feelings. I'm not even getting into it. Quite frankly, I mean, give me a break. You think I am like shocked by it, so I'm up here bashing it because I don't like gay people? I don't like them putting chemicals in the water that turn the friggin' frogs gay. Do you understand that? Serious crap. I'm sick of being social engineered. It's not funny.
Certainly not.
Basically, what happened? They were talking about somewhere along the lines they had been dropping bombs that turn people gay. And the water's turning people gay.
Right.
So his point was that he's not against homosexuality. He's just against people putting chemicals into water that make frogs gay.
Yeah. Right.
He's an absolutely amazing guy.
Because like gay frogs, it's terrible.
Also,
they're a huge problem. Gay frogs.
The important part is there was none. The gay frogs didn't exist.
Yeah.
It was a chemical and I think it was a herbicide or a pesticide or something that had been dropped, and there was claims that frogs were becoming less able to produce.
Right, less fertile.
Either less fertile, and so the argument was that they were becoming slightly more effeminate.
Okay.
And this was found in a couple of frogs, and he's tinned this information and went, "Oh, they're turning all the frogs gay." That's the only explanation, is that all the frogs are now gay, and that's not even.
He's the same guy that sort of believes that the government is trying to poison you through your water, through all that kind of stuff as well.
Here's the thing, right? So we were at a thing on Kelty on Saturday, right? And a good friend and comrade of ours, Colin, he went off, and so there was bottles of water. We're at this conference, right? We're all at this conference in Kelty on Saturday, as you do, and there's jugs of water on the table and little plastic cups. So loads of water. That's the picture I'm trying to paint here. And our comrade Colin, who's a good friend and a lovely man, went off to the vending machine in the lobby and came back with a bottle of water that he paid for, right? And it was still water. It wasn't sparkly. It didn't have apples in it. It was just water. So then I started thinking, when I should have been listening to the nice man and the nice lady who's talking, and I'm thinking, right, because fluoride in the water, right, or something, because people say fluoride in the water. I don't care myself, but I understand people say fluoride in the water will either make you gay or make your teeth green or make them good or make them bad or something, right? So I don't want it because it's in the water. But then I thought, okay, I got that. But then I was thinking, well, if you like drink beer or wine or juice or eat baked beans or tomatoes or eat chicken or anything that's got added water, this stuff is all made with water that comes out of the tap. Like I assume, right? I'm not an actual like factory owning person that does stuff. I'm assuming that everything we eat is made with water that comes out of the tap. I assume that these big factories that make beer don't have like shed loads of bottled water that they pour into the beer. So then I'm thinking, right, so even if the water that comes out the tap has got this stuff in it, everything has got this stuff in it. So you're probably wasting 10 bob. For young people, that's 50 pence every time you go and buy a bottle of water, because it's like a drop in the ocean. You get that? Drop in the ocean. So drop in the ocean compared to all the other water that you're drinking when you go out for a pint on a Saturday night. And Colin likes a lot of pints on a Saturday night, so we're going to have to bring this up.
Was it 10, he said?
Between 10 and 12. This came up
10 and 12?
Because we hold our meetings in a pub. And I've often got to drive, although I live within walking distance. But anyway, so what I do is I drink alcohol-free lager. So I said to Colin, I should have some of this alcohol-free lager. It's really nice. It actually tastes like beer. So then he said, yes, that's really good. So I go out on a Saturday night. He says that after about 10 pints, I think, that's me fine. He says, but I just keep drinking. But if I started drinking this stuff, I'll just get to that nice stage after 10 pints and it'll be okay. But as it is, it goes on like 14, 15 pints. So apparently. But he's a hardy young fellow, because he comes from, where does he come from? Ballingry or something like that. So, that's like, mother's milk to these guys, So, yeah, that's a man. So we need to raise this at the next branch meeting as an order of business.
Well, if it's the fluoride he's worried about, it seems like a moot point, because Scotland doesn't fluoridise.
Don't we?
No, fluoridate water. No.
Don't we? Are you sure?
There's fluoride.
Chlorine in it, though. Chlorine.
There's chlorine in all water. It needs to clean the water. Otherwise,
Absolutely.
it's be unable to drink it.
Well, no, except for like mineral water, because that's spring water, which supposedly is water that comes out the ground like that. Then you just drink it. They just filter it. They don't add anything onto it.
There was a point I was going to get to there about Alex Jones. He sells his own own water filters,
right?
For obviously to get rid of the chlorine, the fluoride, and all the chemicals inside this water.
Yeah.
He actually renders it so badly that the water becomes an absolute just a liquid of nothing. He gets rid of so much chemicals actually inside the water that there's no value at all left to the water. He just takes everything out, so all the electrolytes that available to grab from the water are completely taken away. Any kind of chemicals inside it are just gone. So it's just an absolute rubbish liquid.
And it's about fucking £1,000 or whatever. It's amazing that he's this anti-establishment.
He's pro-Trump as well. Pro-Trump as well.
Pro-Trump, yeah. So I shouldn't sell out con man.
But the point about fluoride is the reason it's not fluoridated is because in Scotland.
So I'm actually going to Google that. I'm going to Google it. Hope you don't mind, because we've already spoken about this.
That's alright. In Scotland, water naturally has fluoride in it.
Really? Is that possible?
So if fluoridisation was to come into Scotland, it would be to lower the dose instead of put it up.
Right.
That happens in some countries where natural water has already got a lot of fluoride in it. They'll take some of it out.
Oh,
but it's still called fluoridisation.
Okay.
And so people equate that to being
That's something I've never researched. I've just taken it on face value that you're correct.
Bill will tell you the rest.
Bill will tell me right now.
I'll tell you in a minute, but in the meantime, talk amongst yourselves while I search.
Well, what I'll do is I'll put some music on,
Right, cool.
and we'll come back.
Superb.
I totally forgot to say what the first song was. The first song I played tonight was the Unromantics, a track called Cash Your Checks. This next one is called from the Banana Sessions. This is called Wash Away Your Blues.
Remember the day we drove down the way in the sunshine. The windows were down and so was our hair. It was summertime. You turned to me and said, what would you like to be when you grow old? I said so boldly, I'd love it if I could stay happy as I'm feeling right now. Unfortunately, with age there comes grief. I don't know how I'm to stop it. You turned to me and said, tell me all your worries and we'll solve them. We'll dissolve them. Wash away your blues. Don't you worry about me, 'cause I don't worry about a thing. No, I don't worry about a thing. So don't you worry about a thing. You woke me one day, you came up to say that you'd make me a feast fit for two, with rice and a spoon and some sake on the table. You looked at me and said, I know some Japanese, so you taught me some choice phrases. Then there was the time you both stood in line in the front row at our live show. You sang one more tune, we didn't know what to do, so play techno. No, 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 no. When you sat with me and asked, would you write one for me? I said, okay, hope you like it. I'll call it Wash Away Your Blues. Don't you worry about me, 'cause I don't worry about a thing. No, I don't worry about a thing. So don't you worry about a thing. There is no need to worry. Slow down, no need to hurry. Give me a smile, my honey, that should see you through and wash away your Don't you worry about me, 'cause I don't worry about a thing. No, I don't worry about a thing. So don't you worry about a don't you worry about me, 'cause I don't worry about a thing. No, I don't worry about a thing. So don't you worry about a thing.
Well, it's warm in here now.
Oh.
The last couple of times I've been here, I got cold quite quick.
So that was the Banana Sessions with a Wash Away Your Blues. Fantastic song. You weren't quite a fan, Craig?
Well,
What
it
was
was
pretty
in a
weird?
pish. It was fine. The part I heard.
I liked it. But you guys are rappers and rapists. Like, you rap and you like rap.
Well,
so maybe that would be a different genre for you.
Aye. Well, that's it. Usually on the on this particular show, we try to showcase as much different music. Like, I've got like black metal for next week. It's like just crazy stuff. Like, we've had like black metal to reggae, like Scottish reggae music, and like whole different matches of stuff. Like, we've even had Tam's band on a couple of times as well. The other side,
Yep.
Pretty cool stuff.
The other side or something. What's it called?
The other side, aye.
The other side. There you go.
Aye. I was going to. I think they had a new tune out like last week or something. I was going to put one on the night, but I'll see that for next week. Cool. Quality, man.
So was I proven right about the fluoride?
Sort of. I started reading it and then I got a text from Jock that I had to look at and I didn't understand, so I had to text him back. But I'm just going to take your word for it, because what I saw on Google seemed to back up what you were saying, even though I haven't read the whole thing. So that's quite remarkable. So you heard it here first from Craig that actually the water in Scotland is naturally fluoridated. And it's very good for you, or bad for you, but it's nothing to do with the government, it just happens anyway.
Yep.
So the only reason I know this stuff is because, as you know, we spoke about this in the car when we went home. I used to be heavily into my conspiracy theories.
Yeah.
I was scared of vaccines, I hated GMOs, I was against water fluoridation, fluoridization, what a fucking word is.
Yeah. No, sure. That's what I should have Googled.
How we say it?
What's the right word?
Like,
so now proceed to do.
Moon landing conspiracy theory, I was into that.
I just don't get why was there a breeze on the wind? I don't get it. And why were they able to walk on the moon? Why didn't they just float away?
I'll explain this.
Go
right. So, lack of gravity means that when something happens, there's nothing to stop it.
Right.
There's no friction to stop it. And so when the flag was put in, there was movement. And so the lack of gravity was stopped the flag from stopping.
Stop. Aye. Basically, aye.
Right.
I get what you're saying.
Yep.
Does that make sense?
Aye.
So it's put in perpetual motion at this
you
point.
say that absolutely terrible, but I do understand
I'm
what you're saying.
really shit at speaking. So because there's no gravity, there's perpetual motion in the flag.
Right.
And
no friction, yeah.
The moon isn't zero gravity, isn't like no gravity at all. It's got much less gravity than Earth. So you can still walk on it, but you float instead of walking at a normal pace. You walk like a balloon.
So it's just, because the moon's quite big, so it's got its own gravitational field, but not as big as Earth. Fluoridation, by the way, is the answer to the question. Fluoridation.
Thank you very much.
I don't know how much fluoride there is on the moon. So, what time is it? Well, it's 2.5 minutes to doomsday.
Aye. Well, sorry. Did you have something to bring up?
Well, that was.
All right, cool.
I
took it off the menu. I just took off the menu.
You can watch about this?
No, I just thought
I'd
be helpful and bring us back to the matters at hand, which is doomsday.
Bill's trying to keep this fucking podcast afloat here.
Well, I was going to bring someone else up, but that's
like
cool.
the moon.
I've not got a copy of this sheet.
You fucking hell, I don't need this push. You need it.
So what were you going to bring up though? Because now, of course, you can't not talk about it because of curiosity.
This better be fun, Stephen.
I was going to bring up, but it's not going to be fun either. Sorry. The Cheque bio trial. There was a BBC Two documentary on the other day. It was something that I'd heard of what happened and stuff like that, and sort of in slight variants. So I've heard it for like different other people.
Sure.
It's first time we've seen the full story.
Yeah.
On that, did it cover everything accurately?
No, it didn't, and it's not the full story. But this is a problem. This is a problem. I have to say, I thought that the programme did its best to present a balanced view. I have to say, I was quite impressed with it. If you compare what that programme did, which was BBC Scotland, you compare that to Five Free Press. So Five Free Press, because this happened in Kirkcaldy, that's a local paper for what happened. Very disappointing. They've just taken the side of the police and the authorities, and everything they print is anti-Cheque. So there's all sorts of random stuff that they're talking about. The bit that they missed out was that they said that Cheque died because he took these two drugs, Flakka and I think ecstasy, which he gave a long name to. So he took ecstasy and Flakka, which is one of these legal highs that you can get. I've never tried it, so I don't know. But what they missed out there was the family is saying that he died of positional asphyxiation, which is basically a bunch of heavy people lying on top of you and they literally squeeze the life out of you. Now, Cheque was detained at one point with 6 police officers on top of him, minimum. One of those police officers weighed 25 stone. That was one police officer.
Jesus.
Cheque weighed a little bit more than I do. I weigh 11.5 stone. Cheque weighed 12. He's a bit shorter than me, so he's a short, stocky lad, but he's by no means a big fella, right? He looked after himself, went to the gym, so he was kind of muscly, but he wasn't any kind of superhero being, right? So he was a strong guy. He was young. He was a lot younger than me as well. That's crucial, right? That's crucial. They showed you the diagram of Cheque with all the points on his body where the wounds were, and the scratches and the broken bones and everything. And they said that they had him, Amar Anwar was allowed to speak, his lawyer. He was able to say, we had him on leg restraints and ankle restraints and wrist restraints. So this guy was lying on the ground, the Cheque guy was lying on the ground with restraints around his ankles, restraints also further up around his legs, restraints on his wrist behind his back, and all these coppers were lying on top of him. They've got this on CCTV, so this is an incontrovertible fact, and they missed this out of the programme. Now, the Five Free Press today, is this Thursday today? The Five Free Press today put out a wee story about the documentary. Come on. And they're now mocking what the family is saying, because the family said on more than one occasion, that programme that you saw, Cheque would still be alive today if he hadn't met the police. Right? Now, the story was that apparently somebody phoned the police and said there's a black man waving a machete.
Yeah.
And the police said we thought it was a terrorist incident. So what did they do? They sent two coppers, a man and a woman, to go and see what was going on. They thought it was a major terrorist incident, so they sent two coppers in one vehicle, right? And then things started going downhill, and eventually, in dribs and drabs and penny numbers, more coppers turned up. Now, I'm not a chief constable, but if I thought it was a major terrorist incident, I would sell every body I had immediately. If I get a helicopter, I'd have that as well. I'd want everything there. Terrorist incident, let's give full force to this. Anyway, so the story went from Cheque had a machete to Cheque had a knife, and then eventually they found the knife, but he didn't have a knife. When the police saw him, according to official police report, Cheque was empty-handed, had no knife. But on the material, the stories that the police have been releasing since, they've been implying, without actually saying, that Cheque had a knife when they found him. He didn't. In their official report, he had no knife. In reality, he had a knife. There was no knife. There was never a machete. A few days later, they say they found a knife. Right? Well, the area, and I'm from Dysart, which is next to Kirkcaldy, and I know the area well. I know exactly the spot where this happened. There's not really an awful lot of places where you would find where you could hide a knife, where a knife could go missing.
I was at the Valley Road or something. It wasn't far away from there, like that pub. As far as I know, that's what they were showing on the documentary.
We used to call the White Heather, now called Gallica's. Outside Gallica's, that's right, opposite Gallica's on the other side of the road, heading towards the hospital along Hayfield. I think that's Hayfield Road. That's called that corner there. So going the other way. So the family is saying, well, yeah, you're saying so. So what this official report is saying is that he had these substances in his blood, but they didn't find these substances in his blood again until weeks after. In fact, after he was buried. So I'm like, well, again, guys, I'm not a doctor. Maybe they held on to some tissue samples and kept looking at them or something. But an awful lot of this stuff, because I was involved in the campaign right at the beginning and listening to Addy. I used to work with Addy, his brother-in-law, so I know Addy. And Addy would come along to the campaign meetings and update us and said, right, you've been to see Amar Anwar, here's a state of play, this is what we've got, right? So we knew as a campaign group, we knew what the original information was at the beginning, and all the stuff has got added on along the way. And there's been a lot of stuff added on. The drugs in his bloodstream were never mentioned in the original autopsy, or whatever you call it. I think it's an autopsy. The knife wasn't found until several days, might be several weeks actually, until after. They couldn't find one at the time. This policewoman, and they mentioned this in the programme, this policewoman that Cheque is supposed to have beaten up very badly, so badly she had to go to hospital. This policewoman, Nicole Short, I think she's called, and she was described in the press, here's the thing, right, as a petite blonde woman. Now the petite thing I get the petite thing because it's supposed to be Cheque, big man, petite policewoman, and so you think, oh dear, my heart goes out to this petite woman. What the fuck is a blonde bit got to do with? What is this supposed to be, King Kong and Fay Ray? Do you know what I mean? So this is all about like what? Like the nice pure white blonde woman has been savagely beaten by the big bad black man. That blonde thing, that was a Five Free Press. Put that in. Blonde. Completely irrelevant. Anyway, she was supposed to have been so badly beaten and stamped on by Cheque, who's this big monster strong man. She had to go to hospital. She went to A&E. She was in A&E less than 45 minutes, and then she walked out of her own accord and went home or back to the police station, right? Now, if you've ever had a doing, I don't know, Kennyway's got a reputation of being quite a rough, tough place. You guys aren't sissies and jessies out here. If I get a doing in Kennyway and I get stamped on and beaten up, if all I have to do is go into the hospital and come back out 45 minutes later, probably 44 minutes, those are sitting around waiting if they've ever been to hospital, right? And she walked out of her own accord. She wasn't badly beaten. Especially. So the family said, and I remember this from the early days of the campaign, the family said on the day when the police reported this, on the day of Cheque's death, Addy says he started smelling a rat when the police had telling him all about this, and he says, so she went to the hospital, yeah? Is she still there? No. So where is she? Oh, she discharged herself. So she was able to go home by herself, yes. So do you have any CCTV of her going into hospital? We'll get some idea of the extent of her injuries. No, the CCTV isn't working. It stopped working.
That as well,
that was on the programme. So all this stuff. Yeah, all this stuff. The CCTV that they do have from Gallagher's, used to be called the White Heather, that was a CCTV outside the pub which covered the event, the incident where Cheque died, where the police killed Cheque. The way the police got hold of that was unorthodox. So what they did was, instead of going along to the White Heather and saying, give us a DVD or a thumb drive of the footage of this of the CCTV, what they said was, no, give us your password and your ID, and we'll then hack into your account and take the footage ourselves. You think, well, what's the difference? The difference is, if you're the owner of the CCTV and you've got the equipment, you go in and you extract this CCTV, you can then edit it. And it remains edited, because you're editing the source material, right? You were talking earlier about recording artists and stuff, right? You're editing the master copy. Instead of us getting a copy, you give me a CD, I can go away and I can do what I want with it. I can sample, I can do dubstep or something, but I'm not messing with the master copy. Yep. These guys got the master copy and took it away. And it was a devil's own job for even Amar Anwar, who's like the most famous solicitor in the whole of Scotland, the most famous civil rights solicitor in the whole of Scotland, famous in the whole of Britain. Even he had the devil's own job, even getting the family to see it, even the authorities allowing Amar Anwar to get the family to see it. And when they did see it, it's been edited, it's been chopped. So there's a lot of unexplained stuff. And then there's been a lot of smears as well. The 5 Foot Press and other salacious press, other irresponsible press, gutter press, making all these allegations. And there's rumours that I've heard also. I've heard every rumour under the sun. Some of them are completely impossible. Some of them appear to be made up by this guy, whatever his name was that you said. I didn't write it down, the nutter guy. David Icke or somebody. These rumours,
Alex Jones,
David Icke, Alex Jones, crazy rumours. But there's all the kind of the little kind of insinuations about the drugs, of this, of that, everything. Terrorist? A terrorist. The guy came from Sierra Leone, right? Sierra Leone, an extremely stable country, West Africa, extremely stable. No problems of terrorism there whatsoever. A multicultural country where Christians and Muslims live side by side. No, there's no terrorism. What is terrorism? The guy didn't even go to mosque, for goodness. He was a Muslim. But it was like in the same way that you might put in your passport Christian, but you never got to church, yeah? It's like, yeah, okay, I'm a Muslim. Guy didn't go to mosque, for goodness sake. He was no radical in any way, shape or form. He was no terrorist in any way, shape or form. He was a young lad, and he'd been up all night watching the boxing, Manny Pacquiao, whatever, with his pal. And maybe he'd taken some stuff, maybe he hadn't. But the point being, and I made this point over and over again at public meetings, when I was a lad, I used to go out and drink like a fish and take ecstasy and love it and have the time of my life. I did not deserve to be executed on a street corner. No. And someone says, oh, you deserved it, you took drugs. Well, in that case, you're going to have a massive scale of cleansing throughout Kennyway dies at the rest of Fife in Scotland, and you're going to have to execute a hell of a lot of people if that is justification for being beaten to death or squashed to death on a street corner because you took some drugs. I'm not saying you did. I don't know. What I'm saying is worst case scenario. He did not deserve to be executed on a street corner by the police. That
was. I didn't know much about this case. I still don't know a whole lot about the case. But that was a simple thing that I said, is that so even if he had a knife, even if he was there was claims of being a dick and stuff like that, even if he is a dick, even if he has a knife, even if he's on drugs, the police still fucked up. Yeah. The police are not meant to make that personal and then allow the guy to die.
No.
The police fucked up. It doesn't matter what happened. It doesn't matter what he was into. It doesn't matter what he done. The police fucked up, and that's pretty much the end of the argument. There's no real place to go for me.
The police fucked up. They did, but what was worse? Because I can imagine if I was a cop, I'm not a big fan of physical violence. I'm not much of a fighter. I never was when I was a lad. So I can imagine bottling it and panicking. I can imagine that. I can imagine that this thing could have gone wrong. I can imagine how the whole thing escalated and it was like a nuclear explosion. I can imagine how it was the most terrible, tragic, horrible thing that happened and Cheque lost his life, right? I can also imagine, if I was at Copper trying to cover my tracks, I can imagine that, right? Trying to cover it up. But they've not just fucked up, they've also covered up. And one of the things that happened was all those police who were involved, all the police officers who were involved in that, were sent back down to St. Drysdale police station, and they'll put all of them in the same room at the same time together for over 2 hours before the senior officer came in and started sending them all off home and taking them off their shift. Now, if you're a copper, or if you've been in trouble with the police, and I've been in a lot of trouble with the police when I was a boy, the one thing you do, if the three of us go out and create merry hell in Kennyway, and the coppers come and pick us up, what they'll do is put the three of us in separate rooms and ask us what the hell was going on. They'll try to get you to incriminate me to incriminate him, and they'll try to find out what was going on. They get three different stories, and with those three stories, they'll arrive at what the truth is, because you can go, oh yeah, that all makes sense. It kind of integrates together. The bits I don't say, he will, and so forth. And they'll also find out who's telling porkies, because those bits won't add up. That's just common sense, right? Yeah. But it's also personal experience. It's happened to me a lot. Police generally, well, they always do that. They always do that because that's a sensible thing to do, and it works. These 12 cops, I think there's 12 of them all together, not all of them been lying on top of Cheque. These 12 cops, same room, same time, 2 hours. Now, for goodness sake, no wonder they've got their stories straight. No wonder. And the thing is, even in one sense, it's even if, let's say you're a decent cop, let's say all the 12 cops are decent cops, right? And then that's not doing them any favours. Because the temptation for these 12 cops in those 2 hours is to start becoming complicit with each other, telling each other stories. Even if they said, right, we fucked up, we're going to have to tell the truth, the man's lost his life, there's not a joke anymore, we made a mistake, we need to do the decent thing. After 2 hours sitting in the same room together, then that motivation, that honesty, that's going to dissipate. That whole thing, you've lost it now. After the three of us do something really bad, and then there's
even a point where you start deluding yourself into believing that
that's right,
you were right. Yeah,
that's right. And you think, well, that's right. No. So the worst case scenario, and in fact it was alluded to in the TV programme, was this guy Payton, I think his name is Derek Payton. Not Derek Payton, somebody Payton. His second name was Payton. It wasn't Derek. And he had a known history of being a racist, very recent racist sentiments he'd come out with very recently before the death of Cheque, and he'd also had previous for domestic violence. And terrifying his own parents and beating his own parents up, apparently. So he was one of the guys. He was a policeman, and his name is Payton. He's on that programme, which you can watch again on Catch Up, even though it's BBC Two Scotland. It's on Catch Up because some English friends of mine, moved down to England, and I looked up for them and sent them the link. You'll see it. You'll see this guy. So the worst case scenario is that this was racially motivated attack, like Ferguson or something out in the States. There, this guy was killed because he was black. And he was picked on because he was black, and he was killed because which would mean that he was murdered. That's the worst case scenario, right? The best case scenario is what we just said. Things escalated, got out of hand. But even in the best case scenario, they then went and completely fucked it up, and then covering it all up, and then releasing. I was at this conference last year, and this guy, the guy who is now the head of police in Fife, Stevie somebody, he wasn't in Fife at the time of Cheque, so he's been drafted, and he's now one of, not the big cheese, but the deputy big cheese of Fife. So I asked him this question. He came along to this big community conference about community safety, and he's talking about we're the police and we're nice and cuddly, like that guy you had on from Leavenmouth Police, and he's going, oh yeah, we're nice and we're cuddly, and by the way, I've got issues with that Leavenmouth Police guy, get him back in here. But this guy's standing up and saying, we're the police, we're nice, look at me, I'm just a nice guy, originally I come from Kirkcaldy, and he's trying to portray himself as human and so forth. So the question I asked him was, like, you're the police and you detect crimes, and you've got like a unit and you call it CID, right? This is like detectives. So what they do is they detect stuff, right? They investigate and they find out things. Here's my question. How come you can't find out from within Police Scotland who is leaking all this damaging, insinuating information about Cheque? Who's releasing all these rumours from within Police Scotland? Because at that point, hardly a week went by, there was not another rumour, a damaging rumour at Cheque. And that's my question to the guy. And of course he couldn't answer it. We're the police, we solve crimes, we're expert, we're in police college and everything, and we know you've got a little magnifying glass and a Sherlock Holmes deerstalker hat. Yeah, well, if you're so good, why don't you start off by finding out who's the mole within your own organisation? And he says, I thoroughly deplore, it's absolutely wrong, nobody should prejudge it because we don't know, these rumours are very damaging. Yeah, it's your people that are doing it, your police officers that are doing it. So, that kind of takes away from this nice kind of wholesome, kind of fresh face, freshly scrubbed, nice policeman that you can go up and you lost your handbag and he'll help you. Yeah, there's another side to that coin. And that guy you had in here, that Leavenmouth police guy with his nice tweets and his huckling and all that pish, right? I was at another meeting with Peter Grant, he's the MP, right, up in Glenoffice, with witnesses. And I mentioned this the same thing. To this guy. Peter Grant said that the attack that happened to that family and that man in Methil, whose name I've shamefully forgotten, I'm sorry, the guy who was beaten up by people shouting,
Was a Muslim attack thing,
yeah, Muslim, and the takeaway owner guy.
Was that not Caspian as well?
No.
Possibly. He said to us, Peter Grant said to us, he was told by Police Scotland that was not racially motivated. Now, when I stood up and I said to this guy, Steve, or whatever his name is, who's going to come back to me, Peter Grant was in the room as well. He was in the room at the same time. So Peter Grant's there, police officers, I'm thinking, this is absolutely brilliant. I'm going to call him out on it. And there's my witness, the guy that said it. And if you want to stand up and say you didn't say it, stand up. Problem is, there were 6 people around the table when you said it, pal. Peter Grant was told by the police it was not racially motivated. Now here's a wee bombshell. If I'm attacked and I report it to the police, if I describe it as racially motivated, guess what? It's racially motivated. The victim decides if it's racially motivated. If I call it racially motivated, people call me an English cunt. People call me an English cunt, then beat me up. As far as I'm concerned, it's racially motivated. If I tell the police it's racially motivated, it is racially motivated. Simple as. So the police were misleading, right? So the question I asked the Leavenmouth guy, the Tweety boy, he said, Cheque has got nothing to do with me. Yes, but deliberately misleading the MP, lying to him about the racial motivation for that attack on this guy in the takeaway. That was, because that happened in your manor, pal. That happened in your area, right? And I've already spoken to your boss about it in public. So there you go. That's what I think about Police Scotland in Fife. 2 occasions.
See,
we'll not see Craig ever again.
Craig's not a huge fan of us. We contacted Police Scotland after that podcast to see, because after I got him I was like, see, I'm fucking annoyed with the lack of answers that I got there. And I was like, but then that could be the police sort of gagging police officers. So I emailed Police Scotland and got the answer back. They were like, police officers are not allowed to give opinions on things like that. I was like, well, that's fucking shit.
I think it was on cases specifically. They're not allowed to give their own personal opinions.
They weren't allowed to give any personal opinions.
Like at all.
Talking about weed legalisation, which brings me to this. You were at a thing about the police against weed. Someone.
I'm supposed to be going to a meeting with, and there's going to be a representatives meeting of a whole bunch of political parties, and the theme of this meeting is people from a bunch of political parties from Scotland. This woman, Lynn Cameron, I always get her name wrong, was called Lynn Cunningham, Lynn Cameron, another woman called Bernadette somebody, and an organisation called, I think it's called LEAP, L-E-A-P, Law Enforcement Against Prosecution. So these are coppers who do not believe that it's a good idea to prosecute people for having a wee bit hash.
So that's my point. How can they give their opinions on weed?
Yep.
Yeah, the guy we were speaking to is not allowed to give opinions on weed.
Is that because they're own separate organisation and they're not speaking within police time or something like that?
I don't know, maybe they'll turn up with like a brown bag in their
So does that mean if I ask Craig to come up after his work one day that I could answer questions?
I don't know, because that was definitely during police time.
Oh, that was definitely. We were in the police station.
Aye.
So maybe it was maybe something like that, but that annoyed me. And even if it's not his fault and he's actually a fine police officer, he was just scared for his job. Police Scotland are still shit for that. The police officers are going to know more than the people sitting behind the fucking desk are. And so if he can't give his opinions on people being arrested for smoking fivery fucking weed, or teenagers getting turned away for blue light discos because they've had one beer, where are they gone? They're going to find their pals to get more fucking drunk, as opposed to going into this place where there's no alcohol. Fucking stupid. If he's not allowed to say that, then they're just going to keep going in this perpetual circle of pish.
I was going to say, how does that end? Like,
because
he'll know,
Craig will know fine fucking well about the problems and the failures that Police Scotland are doing, and he's not allowed to fucking say anything.
Well, it's like if you have someone on a show, right? You ask me on a show, or you ask me and the UKIP guy, or me and that Labour idiot, or whatever, and we come on
keeping it classy
by basically coming onto a podcast or doing an interview on telly, on the radio, for a newspaper. Then basically you're sort of saying, okay, obviously I've got an agenda here. Like when I go on the Jonathan Ross show and I've just released a new film, I want to promote that film. But if you're a politician or a policeman or something like that, then okay, you want to present your best side. Of course you do, and you should be given that opportunity. But also, by doing that, the price you pay for that privilege is you should be open to asking questions. So you should be able to challenge me and say, Bill, What about this aspect of solidarity that's not very good? What about this aspect of socialism? What about this aspect of my political life, what I've done in my past, and challenge me on it. And if I say, well, I'm sorry, I can't answer any difficult questions, only like nice questions, and can I tell you what a great party solidarity is? Well, people are going to say this guy's a bit of a plonker, isn't he? I'm voting for him, because, you know what I mean? So you need to be accountable. So the police are going to come along and say, we're very... And the thing is, right, there are a lot of decent people in police, and I'll say this as well, I've been on loads of protests in Fife and loads of protests in the west of Scotland, and I would any day much rather be in a protest on the east of Scotland, because the bobbies on the east of Scotland are much nicer than the bobbies on the west. On the west coast, they're much more likely to hit you, assault you, push you around, or just arrest you because they can. East Scotland bobbies, East Scotland police, hell of a lot better than the guys on the west coast. Take it from me. And I've been Dundee, Aberdeen, Fife, you know, and then across to Glasgow, and across Glasgow, another world. So, you know, not all bad. And there's some decent guys. And this guy, Stephen Hamilton, he's the big chief bobby bloke. I get the impression this is a really lovely guy. And it's actually kind of a thing, one of the reasons why I'm so uninhibited about bellowing at this guy about Police Scotland and Cheque Bio is because he wasn't involved. He was over in Glasgow doing something, and then he came over here and took over the big chief's job. So then you're thinking, right, this guy, you're going to be accountable, you're going to come in here like a clean sheet, you know? I think he's a decent guy. And I think there's loads of decent guys, and probably your Huckleberry guy, Craig, the copper, he might be a decent guy. But the thing is, he has to... Is it Al?
Craig File. Craig File, his name is. It's F-Y-A-L-L.
All right, yeah. But if all he's going to do is come in, it's like, no, you have to... You've got to take the rough with the smooth, you've got to take the good with the bad with the good, yeah?
That's it.
You've got
well, one of his downfalls that he didn't check the podcast beforehand, and I assumed that it... What happened, I'll tell you straight away, is I heard about the Twitter and stuff like that, and it was like, nobody's talking about this. So, right, we'll try and get fucking in straight away.
You'll get in straight away,
We'll get to talk to the guy. The minute I found out he was a sergeant, I was like, cool, we could ask fucking questions, proper questions, rather than just, because I thought it might just be a guy that's...
Like the secretary.
Like a cleaner or someone like that that's in, just doing their Twitter for them while he's there. The minute I heard he was a sergeant, I was like, that's when we get the fucking questions in. Yeah. And he deliberately just fucking... All the questions just flew past his...
Yeah. It was really... It was trying to not come across as being like aggressive, but you could see him sort of getting like... Right after
it, we I was like, he was like, oh, thanks very much. Like, obviously, I had to do that, and just kind of left. Like, no sort of nothing really. He would just sit. It was like, thanks for that. Like, just fucked off. I was like, oh, really? Cool.
That's it now. Yeah.
Very nice.
We're in this fucking interrogation room in the middle of Methil police station, just quietly, just taking to their mics and shit. Really fucking, it was a weird experience. Sitting in an interrogation room, really interrogating a police officer, which is weird.
It's really odd as well that, like, because generally you're accompanied wherever you go in a police station, you're always accompanied with someone, unless they're locking you in the room. It's the only time they leave you. So to just walk out and leave you alone, unaccompanied in a police station, that's a really odd thing to do. And again, from personal experience, I've never been unaccompanied in a police station unless I've been in the cell. You know?
Well, here's a question. So you've been in a cell?
Yes.
Here's a question. Were you there on a Sunday?
No. I was only ever. Well, I might have been. I was never in a cell overnight, and it was when I was a boy in Burnt Island running around and just causing havoc. They put me in the cell for 2 or 3 hours and then let me go because I was always gobby. And sometimes they picked me up. Generally, whenever they picked me up when I was drunk, and that was tend to be when I was older and I was married, they always pick me up. And what they do, you're drunk, they take you home to where you live, and they find out if you've got like a partner that you live with, and then they wake up the partner and say, I've got your partner, your husband or your boyfriend or whatever, and he's drunk. Do you want us to bring him in? Because what they're worried about is if you're drunk, do you turn violent when you're drunk? Should they take you down to the cop shop? So that's what they do. And then my wife at the time said, no, just let him in because I'm not violent, even when I'm drunk. But when I was young, when they used to throw me in the cells, so when I was drunk, they used to take me home. But when I was just running around causing mayhem and just being gobby, what they did is lob me in the cell for a few hours, and then I calmed down, and then they would let me go, and then that was basically it. So I've never done the full experience, never been in prison or anything.
And looking now, your gubbiness is getting you further and further into fucking solidarity, and you're doing well.
That's it.
I think so far as well.
So be gobby is a lesson.
The big mouth has got him further on than he expected when he was younger. It's perfect.
So I think I found.
Anyway, Sunday. Sorry, what was the question? Yeah.
I think I found a thing that I'm going to run with as a counsellor.
Right.
I was in the cells on a Sunday. Right. I was there about 5 a.m. I was asked if I wanted like frosties or whatever. I was like, what? Really?
That's nice.
I was always told that if you get put in the jail, you get a glass of water and a bit of bread. That was always the thing. I was like, I'm fucking going there. I like pizza. Spish. So I was in here all day. just surrounded by people just banging, just shut up. Why do people not shut up in the cells?
Sunday sesh crew, basically.
Arseholes. Anyway, so I was sitting there all day, and then about 5 o'clock.
So you're in a cell on your own, or like a big holding cell?
On my own.
Yeah.
So that day, because I was disabled, I had special treatment and shit. It was awesome. I'd go back, I'd pipe. So it got to about 5 o'clock. I was fucking starving because I hadn't had lunch. Instead of lunch, I got interrogated, so that was brilliant.
So it got to 5 p.m. in the afternoon, so you've been like 12 hours. So pick up at 5 and then it gets to 5, right?
I didn't want breakfast because I'd been up all night drinking, and I was like, fuck it, I'm going to sleep.
So is that so you used to drink, now you don't drink, because I know you don't drink.
I used to drink until about a month ago.
I thought you didn't drink way back when I first came on the show. You were talking about, because
I don't drink a lot.
Right.
He's never drunk too much.
I've never been a huge drinker.
Right, okay, so now you just completely teetotal, but okay, right. Anyway, sorry, I keep interrupting you.
So I got to about 5 o'clock, I was fucking starving. I was like, okay, well, I'm waiting on this fucking bread and bit water. They came in and they were like, so what do you want for your tea? I was like, what do you mean, what do I want for my tea? He was like, you got a chippy. I was like, you got a fucking chippy? Fucking fantastic, lad. I'll hey, fucking red pudding. I'll get a bit of fish and all this. And he was like, no, you get like a meal. I was like, bastard. So I got a fucking sausage roll and chips.
Alright.
It was fucking so that's what I'm running on. Every single police station on a Sunday gets a fucking chippy. I don't know if that's an actual thing already, but if it's not,
how far are you on the list?
So is that
we've done fuck all.
We've done
nothing.
We've done the first
We're
bit.
just talking shit at this point.
So,
fuck it.
But is that just a Sunday though? I mean, have you been in this like on a Wednesday or a
You've
Tuesday?
been on a Saturday, didn't you?
I was on a Saturday night, aye. Saturday night.
Oh, Saturday night. So
I got
it wasn't
nothing.
At tea time.
So
it wasn't at tea time.
I wasn't at tea time. I was on to like Saturday night. I think it was like 2 o'clock in the morning or something like that. But I got let out like right early in the morning as well.
So they didn't like charge
Right
you?
after that. No.
It was the same year that's kept you in the.
See, here's the thing. I was told that I was charged,
right.
but then I was never at court.
Yeah.
So I don't know if I was because I tried to get a carer job at this point as well.
Right.
And I told my job advisor, I was like, I got charged with assault a couple of weeks ago.
Right.
She was like, oh, you can't do that then. I was like, but I've not been to court.
So the Procurator Fiscal's decided either they've not bothered giving it to the Procurator Fiscal, or the Procurator Fiscal's seen it and thought, nah, there's no case to answer it. Mm-hmm. I've been told that I've been officially cautioned. I've been at court and been convicted of stuff, and even when I was a boy, and then later on when I was quite later on as an adult, I got supposedly an official caution for stuff, and none of it. Well, only one thing from all my criminal history shows up on my that thing used to be called PVG, used to be called a disclosure thing, criminal disclosure. And I was doing enhanced disclosure because I was working with adults. I was teaching night class. So you have to enhance disclosure in case you get any adults with like learning disabilities. Right. So that's like the equivalent of having a child. So you have to be really careful. Mm-hmm. So they did an enhanced disclosure with me, and I was like, "Well, I'm saying that's going to be interesting because I can't actually remember all the things I was in and out of court, petty stuff, silly stuff, you know." And all that came up was inappropriate use of a tax disc. I'd nicked a tax disc. Obviously, I didn't because that'd mean I'd have to be charged with something else. I had the wrong tax disc on my car. Unfortunately, the tax disc I hadn't realised was a tax disc for an HGV Land Rover. It had come off a building site I'm working on. The person who did it didn't know. So anyway, because I refused to tell them where I got the thing, I refused to dob the guy into it. He gave me it. They couldn't prove that this tax disc was stolen. Mm-hmm. The people the tax disc came from didn't report it stolen because it was most modern, and they were ESO. They were just like Dallas millionaires, like JR. They're like, I don't care. I got loads of money. So. It was never reported as a theft. The theft never happened. So all they could get on was inappropriate use of a tax disc. So if I borrowed your tax disc, that would be the same.
Right.
Oh, yeah. So the moral of the story is don't dob your mates in. In the end, it pays off. It's better for you. And that's the only thing that shows up on my record. But I was convicted of stealing by finding. I lobbed at one point. I lobbed a paving slab through my neighbour's window for very good reason. He deserved it.
Right, we need to hear that story after the podcast, I
think. And none of this stuff shows up. So you just think, and this stuff I was convicted, the lobbing through a pavement slab through the window, I was given an official caution by the police, which I think was basically wasn't official. So when I explained why I did it, I think the boy was like,
fair enough, I told
but he had to maintain, so it says official caution, young man. So that's why I say they're not all bad, right? But also stuff that I was convicted of has just disappeared.
So I've got no idea if I was actually convicted.
Well, you weren't convicted because
it's a stern warning, I suppose.
So I was arrested, and they gave me a whole thing about asking me if I want a lawyer and stuff.
Yep.
What does that mean?
So I go out the door here, and there's a crime takes place, and the police come along. So I just turned away to point at the door because I'm an idiot and I forgot about the microphone. So I go out there, the police pick me up because they think I did something, and they say, we're charging you with doing the bad thing. No, so I'm innocent. I don't care. Come down the station. Now, you've been officially charged, you're doing a bad thing. Do you want a lawyer? No, I don't want a lawyer. Right, well, we're going to lock you up. Then we're going to interrogate you. And they interrogate me. And then they think, well, we can't get Bill to admit he did the bad thing, right? Whether I did it or not. And so they go, fuck it, we'll just let him go. But then maybe we'll spy on him, or they'll do some more research, investigation. Maybe we'll get him maybe Wednesday, Thursday down the line. We'll be able to pin it on him. But they never put it on me. So what happens was it was inconclusive. They tried to prove he did the bad thing. They couldn't prove he did the bad thing, so they had to let me go. So that's what happened with you, whether or not you did the bad thing. They clearly either couldn't prove it, or they thought, you know what, that bad thing you did, who fucking cares?
No.
And so they just let it go, you know? Because I don't know what you did or didn't do, and obviously you can't say you did it because you didn't do it. Like me with the tax case, which I didn't do.
Yes, exactly. That's exactly the thing.
I think what we should do is, because we've not got long left, we've got about 20 minutes, the doomsday clock. Is that what you wrote? Or you could pick someone that you definitely want to talk
pick
about.
someone, Bill.
No, pick someone off a menu. I tried the doomsday clock a minute ago, but
I love how we've got a menu for choices.
when I say a minute. What's your favourite one out of this? Because you wrote this menu, so you know what's got the most...
right, so as an atheist, right,
oh, I love it.
I strongly believe in separation of church and state, which we
Alright.
don't have in the UK.
Well, here we go,
We've
yeah.
got official bishops in the House of Lords and stuff like that. There's
Yes.
a lot of shit. I don't agree with there being a Church of Scotland. You can call it Church of Lizzie down the road or whatever you want. Just Church of Scotland is... I don't agree with attaching nation to religion. I think that's always going to end up terribly.
Yeah.
And so what Trump's done has really pissed me off, considering in the US they have officially got a separation of church and state. What he's done, and he's removed a rule blocking tax-exempt religious groups from endorsing or opposing political candidates, which means now that as well as the individuals in the religious group being allowed to give their opinion on political candidates, now the group can come out officially and state, the Catholic Church can come out and officially state, oh, we like Trump, or we hate Ted Cruz, or that's not going to happen, but we hate or like these people, and that's like the epitome of shit when it comes to church and state. I like that. Do you agree? Do you hate me?
Yeah, unfortunately, I agree. I think it doesn't really make for a very good debate. But yeah, I mean, basically, as a socialist and a solidarity, we've got a clear policy. Most socialists are not religious people. Most socialists are, in fact, atheists. Some socialists have some kind of belief, but they're in the minority. And what we say is there's absolutely no bar to being a member of Solidarity or an MSP or an elected council if you want to also have a faith or be a Christian or a Muslim or something like that. Yep. No problem. But you keep these two things separate. So that kind of goes along your way. And then we say in our socialist utopia that we're working towards, and we've got a socialist Scotland and everything is the way we want it to be. Again, complete freedom of religious expression. So most of us don't have any religious faith, but we say we respect your right to go and worship whatever you want. If you want to worship your Auntie Martha's carrots, then knock yourself out. But you can't force anyone else to. It won't do any harm. So yeah, but then right, here's the thing, because like Archbishop Desmond Tutu, South African bishop, he's repeatedly come out and made political statements, and I think the guy's good for doing so. And also the Archbishop, I think his name's Welby in this country, some Archbishop in Britain or England. Every now and again he pops his head up and he criticises the government on issues like poverty. And I think good for you. And the reason I think good for you is because this is like a bishop, an archbishop, and obviously millions or thousands of people listen to this guy. And you think to yourself, well, all these religious people, whether Christians or Muslims or whatever, they're all supposed to be nicey and care about their fellow man. Whereas in reality, who you tend to find manning the food banks and doing all the work in the community tends to be socialists who are not religious people. So when a religious person does actually say, oh, this is wrong, food banks are wrong, or Desmond Tutu says, the illegal occupation of Palestine by Israel, that's wrong, you think, that's brilliant. In fact, you think, hallelujah. See, get it? Pun. You think, hallelujah, that's great. A religious person actually saying something worthwhile for a change. But the flip side to that, right, is what you're hinting at. You're opening the door to all these nutters, all these like real right-wing hate mongers, like the Westboro Baptist Church.
Yeah.
These people, you know, I hate fags. Say things like that. Then you're giving them an even bigger voice than they've got. So I started off saying I agree with you, and now I'm not sure.
Well, see, there's the thing. I fully support Desmond Tutu saying what he wants, but the group that he's part of having an official stance. It's when you start time, and the fact that it's tax exempt religious organisations. They're allowed a say in government now, but they're still allowed the benefit of not paying any taxes.
Yeah, good point.
So if you're gonna allow them to have a say in politics, make them fucking pay taxes as well.
Yeah, good point. I watched this thing last night. I don't know if it was on catch up or on telly, but it was about anti-Muslim sentiment in America, and there's all these groups of like really like horrible people that hate Muslims, and they go outside mosques and protest and wave placards, and they actually turn up like militia, like armed, or like, because it's in some state in America where you're allowed to walk around with like machine guns. So like they're not just turning up with like a little discreet handgun down in the holster. There's like big fuck you, like 4 foot long guns they've got, and there's like 40 of them, and they stand outside with like crosses and signs that saying, all sorts of really offensive stuff to really offend the Muslims. And so obviously very vile people, not that, it's just any of that kind of thing, freedom of religious expression, guys. But one of these guys, right, they hate Muslims and have all these accusations about Muslims, but one of them, right, redneck character, he's got a t-shirt that says "Fuck Westboro Baptist Church," and that really confused me. And also, here's the thing, this guy either has a shed load of these t-shirts or he never changes his t-shirt, because throughout the whole programme they kept following this guy day after day after day, and he's a big fella, white guy, black t-shirt, "Fuck Westboro Baptist Church" on his t-shirt in big letters that you can't miss. And I was aching for them to sort of say, like, obviously you hate Muslims, right? Because we've got that, because this is what you do. What's that? What's the story with that? So he was an interesting character. He was like one of these people that hates everybody. Because normally these guys that say, "Oh, I'm a good God-fearing American, Muslims are bad, God is good, Christianity good, Muslim bad," and you think, okay, I don't agree, but I can follow your logic, right? This guy was like, he really baffled me. So I don't know if any of your listeners out there could enlighten me. What's that about?
There's a TV programme that I got introduced you to called Revolting.
Revolting.
Have you seen this?
I saw one.
I'm so really glad you've seen it. It's great. It's amazing. If nobody's seen it before, to explain it, it's two kind of I think they'll start off as actors or something like that, but they do a lot of kind of sort of crowd participation stuff. So they go to like big sort of war monger events and stuff like that, and they try to sell. I think they went to somewhere to try and sell body parts to some place that were like that were involved in some sort of thing. So they do all these kind of things, and it's great.
China, they would try to sell the Chinese
this
embassy.
Was the other day.
You turn like a takeaway delivery guy with like, "I've got some internal organs" or something, because the Chinese, it was a Fulan Gong or something.
I think it was something like that.
Persecuted with the Chinese, and the Fulan Gong, this like little sect in China, was saying, they're like harvesting our organs and stuff. As this guy turns up at the Chinese embassy with an ice box and said, "I got some organs." He
got in as well. He got in, but I think he got to like the reception, and they were like, "Hey, wait a minute,
I've not seen this episode."
It's a new episode. There's been a few since you watched it.
You fucking watched it with me?
I did, yes.
You can't.
Exactly.
What the fuck?
I think it's finished next week. But there's a lot of great stuff on there. There's a lot of kind of the two different Labour Party people.
Love them.
There's one's the socialist version, and then there's the Blairite. And they go to like different events and stuff like that.
Tory.
They were at a football match, and it was the Conservative Labour guy. He was worried in case there was going to be a fight and stuff like that during the football, and there was just loads of just amazing stuff that happened. It was brilliant.
Yeah.
I'm glad you've seen Revolt, and I was interested to see if you've seen it.
Love the fact that you can say Conservative Labour member and nobody flinches.
No.
You could say as a Conservative Labour guy.
Oh, I see. Right, yeah.
Nobody's like, what? That doesn't even make sense. You're like,
exactly.
that makes total sense. A Conservative Labour guy.
Right.
It's a great programme. So
there's the fact we've talked a fucking lot.
We've talked a lot and said very little, which is the art of politics.
So we could either talk about us in the council elections, or we could talk about pig embryos.
There's 10 minutes left, so
based on who? Based on what?
Well, it's up to you. I don't know if Bill's need them.
Are you in a rush?
At some point I want to go home to my wife because we got pizza. Anyway, so from Asda, so that's good. She doesn't like pizza from Morrison, she likes pizza from Asda. You know, they get the home that you go and you say, "I want cheese."
The pizza's for Asda is shit hot. I'm totally with your wife, to be honest.
She's really picky. Anyway, so we've got a wee special treat today. I went to Asda and I got 2 pizzas for a £5 all made. Now made to specific specifications: ham, cheese, double pineapple, garlic oil.
Oh, fuck off!
What are they people?
No, garlic oil, basil oil. Don't worry, I got it right, baby. Don't worry.
Pineapple.
Double pineapple.
What's fucking wrong with you?
If there's not enough pineapple, we used to get pizza from Domino's. Which
Do you put apples in your mince and stuff like that? Do you do all that kind of?
That sounds good.
That's such a
That's
middle
absolutely
class thing to
terrible.
say,
That was
Bill.
a joke, Bill. That was a joke. That was.
Apples in it. Right, when I was never mind. We're getting off the subject here. When I was a boy, no, don't do that. Because my dad was in the Navy and used to travel all over the world and come back with his like mad recipes he got from all the places he was in. So we were like early adopters of like having curry in the house, and we have a little bowl and it's got like pineapple, a little bowl's got not cucumber, what do you call it? Coconut, all this sort of stuff.
Aye.
And that's what I started thinking when you said apple in the mince. Councillor, right? Craig's standing as a councillor candidate for Leaving, Kennaway and Largo.
There you go.
Right. So we're talking before we came onto the microphones there about, right, how do you like reach out to people and find out what people are interested in this area, right? So here we go. Here's a podcast, right? So Craig describes himself as having a disability which limits his mobility. He can't go running around like a young thing in the spring of his life. Nevertheless, this guy's very politically astute, does all his research, he's down with the kids, is very down to earth, and he's a good socialist candidate.
Down with the kids.
Down with the
Groovy,
kids.
you might say.
You might say groovy.
Aye.
From the perspective,
I'm never going to get fucking voted in now.
from a perspective of a man who's 55 years old. Here's the thing, right? So what do you do? So how do you find out what's the mood of the nation? What do people around here want? So we were talking about Facebook and social media and stuff like that, and people being able to get in touch. So take that back to the story we had about the copper who came in, Lyle, and he was telling all about his nice tweets that he was doing, right? Take that back to that story and how could you use social media to find out what people in this ward, or it's one ward, several times one ward, what people care about, what people are interested about, and also to tell people what we're all about, what we stand for. See? Discuss.
Aye. So I'm pretty good on having an online presence.
Right.
I've even went to the extent of getting a fucking Snapchat on the go, which is
Tried that.
it didn't. It's shit. The whole idea, I had this planned out in my head that I would have sort of this movement of young people who would fuck the system,
That's the spirit.
and it's not worked.
Aye.
With 16 followers on Facebook, I'm fucking killing it.
Aye.
Nibdy on Snapchat, I'm followed by about 9 people, 8 of them in America. It's not going well, Bill.
Right. There you
So
go.
we're in a bit of trouble here, and anytime I ask for opinions on things, it's nothing. It's just nothing. Nothing's being brought up. Nothing's. I can't see anybody moaning about anything. The only thing I see people moaning about actually is the fucking NHS,
Aye.
and that's a Tory issue. It's no much to do with the council in a lot of respects.
Well, there's this new kind of they've got a bit of the council which takes care of like social care. So I can't remember what they call it. Something like social partnership or something. So that takes the council in partnership with the NHS, covering some of the stuff the NHS used to do on its own. So there's a wee bit kind of overlap if you think of a Venn diagram. But yeah, really, it's not an awful lot to do with the council. The thing with the NHS, right, is the NHS is being deliberately underfunded, so that it deliberately underperforms, so that people will criticise it and say it's pish, so that it's easier for the Tories to sell it off. The NHS in itself is a fantastic thing, the envy of the world, but the Tories are deliberately running it down. What we need to do, don't fall into their trap. Don't fall into the trap of sort of saying, well, the NHS isn't very kind of posh and all-encompassing and 24/7 and I have to wait a long time to get anything done. Don't fall into that trap. Go a bit further and say the NHS is a fantastic thing which the Tories are deliberately sabotaging. They're trying to sink the ship so they can then sell it off and say, well, it's crap anyway. So that's a real shame. It's a real shame with the NHS and the people who've got working in it who are overworked and are being starved of resources. It's a fantastic thing. NHS can't grumble.
Nah. I had something in my head. Aye, I thought we were haying as we were talking about politicians sort of saying stuff and then backing down when they get the tough questions. Is that sort of, is there something we could use with branch meetings, or is that specifically for talking about policies within Solidarity, or is there a possibility for people to come along and sort of critique us?
Definitely. Here's the thing.
Because I'd love for people to come along and say, "Oh, your idea's pish,"
Yeah.
and then for me to sort of just be like,
'Cause
here's
we could print out flyers and maybe advertise sort of around about the area and try and
Yep.
get people down if you wanted to do that.
Definitely.
It was a suggestion I made, but obviously Craig wanted to make sure if it was just if we could do that.
I suggested that way back. We've got a branch meeting coming up in Kenneway on is it this Monday?
no.
Monday the 6th. So we've got a branch meeting, 7 o'clock, all welcome, open to the public. 7 o'clock, Sandy Brae Centre.
7:30.
7:30 on Monday, Sandy Brae Centre, Kenneway. All welcome. So you'll see it on Facebook. There should be a link to it on Craig's.
I'll leave a link.
candidate
You've got an
page.
event page up as well, aye?
Aye.
We'll
As
have
event
quite.
page for it. So all welcome. That's the whole thing. And then what we'll do is, if we have a lot of people come along from a member of the public, we'll maybe run the branch a wee bit different, more like a public meeting, and then we can deal with all the kind of the branch business at another time. At any given point, if a whole bunch of the public turn up, we'll just make a public meeting, question and answer, have a bit of debate, allow people to rip into us, because that's when you find out.
Because that's exactly what would make me feel like I know the policy's better, as if people were to come and
That's right,
rip
you've
into
got to
me.
defend it. That's right, absolutely.
Because the new just explaining it, I feel like, well, I could explain it to people that already agree with me, that's fine.
Yeah,
But having explaining it to people that are like, no, you're talking shit,
that's right.
that makes me much better at my job.
Absolutely, and to me, socialism is all about. There's this old saying which is out of date now. It's out of date because it's older than me, even older than me. And
Fuck.
it's agitate, organise. Now the agitate and organise, that's good, but the educate bit, that's a bit patronising. But it doesn't. It's not so snappy. But my version is persuade, agitate, organise. So I put forward my policy about 0 cuts to 5 council. Not my policy, Solidarity's policy. And people are going to say, oh, you can't do that, you have to cut some things. And I say, no, actually, no. We need to stand up to Westminster. There's some things we can do in the short term to release that money to stop any job cuts in 5 council. But there's other medium to long term things we can do to mean that we never have to have any cuts. And it's my job to try to persuade you to give the information. And it's your job, as a member of the public, to pin me to the wall on it and get me scrabbling through my notes to give you the facts, give you the figures, not just some random concept. Definitely. This is a great thing about doing street stalls. You get out there and people want to come along and argue with you. And that's what you want. Imagine if you stood in the streets all for 2 hours and nobody spoke to you. That'd be shit.
No.
Or even people coming up to you and just agreeing with you all the time.
Yeah.
I mean, you'd got a nice confidence boost, but your policies will be shit.
That's
Or
right.
no shit, but you would ken
Yeah.
your policies as shit.
And at some point, you're going to be on like a hustings or a panel or a radio show or a podcast, and someone's going to ask a question and you're not prepared for it. So you've not done the apprenticeship of hard knocks with people dissing your policies and you haven't
No.
to defend them. Absolutely. No, so that'd be cool, guys. If any of you want to come along, anyone listening wants to come along, Monday 7:30, Sandy Brae Centre, come along and find out what we're all about, and also ask us what we're going to do about insert your problem or issue here. Ask us, tell us what's going on. What's to me?
I've no gone through any more shit.
Right. Fair enough.
Nothing more to the menu. You fill up.
Well, there's loads more on the menu, but at this
I
point,
know, but no.
it's been-
For this.
Oh,
Right, cool. I'll go through my list, my ending list, so you could chat amongst yourselves. So if you want to check your future podcasts, we do a hip hop one on a Tuesday night, and we do obviously this kind of chat podcast on a Thursday. Sometimes it's just us, sometimes we'll have guests, sometimes we kind of do different stuff. We do kind of like some challenges sometimes. Maybe happening a lot less now, but since Craig's teetotal. So if you want to check
you
that out,
look like I used to be an alcoholic.
no, well, you can't I mean. You can't I mean. So you can go to Spreaker.com /user/BTN podcast. Just click follow. I think you could sign up via Facebook. Really easy to do. You can check your website, btnpodcast.weebly.com. You can check your hip hop podcast website, allthatdopeshit.blogspot.co.uk. Amazing name, I have to agree. YouTube.com, you can go and look for Besides the Norm podcast. We do kind of challenge videos, music sessions, a lot of the podcasts are put up there as well, so there's loads of content for you to go through. Facebook.com /Besides the Norm, give us a like if you can. Twitter @BTNpod. For sending emails and giving us Scottish music submissions, go to besidesthenorm@gmail.com. And for rap music submissions wherever you are in the world, allthatdopeshitpromo@gmail.com. All the links will be below, so you can check them out. Thanks very much for tuning in. We're going to end this podcast with Well, first off, thanks, Bill, for coming in. Much
Thanks
appreciated.
very much. It's been good. It's been great fun.
Excellent, man.
Thanks for listening, anyone that was listening.
Excellent. This tune's from Loki. This is called Midget in the Fridge.
This is the MCs.
Yeah.
MCs who represent the being.
Yeah.
Represent the being MCs. Make big things go bang bang.
Well, I can't dance for shit and my wrist never blind, but I'm never sort of some young pretty thing to pump full of chicken wings. Wink wink, make your taste irrelevant. Blame the sedatives and the alien intelligence. Add alcohol, 80 crazy relatives. Go to Christmas dinner, take a lady evidence. Taking names and bets, making less a person's better taste for tennis. Praying they can make it to your needs where they can claim a pension. Fall asleep at the wheel, trying to change direction. Fighting Cold War in the midst of the Great Depression. Forgive the great expression. Cities plagued with aggression, littered with vacant lessons. Every day creates a question. My home always kept the place I mentioned. Don't know what I hate more, foreigners or racial tension. Thing that's racist, I blame your parents. And governments about the housing schemes like they were playing Tetris. In the West End you can't move for people playing tennis. Eating bagels with relish, making their earnings. And then save a percentage for their kids to fail uni. 10 years of succession with no debt. Just a course of life's great when your parents are dentists. I don't want to be the best, I want to be the freshest after 8 edits. Proclaim my heritage on disablement benefits. Till I get a page in the Herald. Sitting down to a blank page, warm waged effortless. My crew runs the city and they act like they've no heard of this. Let me refresh your mind, dust down attention spans. We run a dictatorship, there are no elections planned. Rest my dead fam, can somebody text my dad? I pulled an anorexic fan with a Batmobile and a 10-year pension plan to get my erection back. Okay children, where's your pens and letters at? Your watch is bad karma, but you won't be getting it back. Think I'll just be wearing that or selling that. Trade a Rolex for 20 feather hats. Garfield stack, couldn't meet a better cat. On a mic, off and tight, dogs, balls, be aware of that. Assembling my nethercraft, no, whether that makes sense is no essential. I'm on a quest for adventure, my expression is reflecting that. Prolific's just another understatement, really. I'm another Jakey, never really happy unless somebody hates me. Your rap's weak, put it on a scrap heap, you mad geek. I made this fucking clear last week. Glasgow's where I rest when I can't sleep. Me against the world like a woman on a bad week. Insignificant belligerence, for instance, when I spark, I'm not missing what your tinted vision misses wisdom. Bliss is when I'm just singing piss, whatever your prediction is. The whole point of hip-hop is something that you've missed. I appear for the crimson mist, with a Christmas list bigger than Kim Wilson's tits. The mission is to kill lyricists that will and have 26 kids pop up out and get a picture in the list. Who the fuck is this? My name's Loki and it is what it is. Holding my tonic and there's a Bridget in the fridge. So kick a rap and we'll have a spliff. Glasgow stand up, we cruise back the fuck up quick. My name's Loki and it is what it is. Holding my tonic and there's a midget in the fridge. Kick a rap and we'll have a spliff. Glasgow stand up. Spiritually and morally, I've come to show my quality. When the chips are down, my property. Stimulate economy and wins to play the lottery. Always think positive and spend life trying to emulate your older mates. Home truths, I don't assume my soul's good. My goal's just trying to walk a mile in my own shoes. Being as honest at times as calling Faro in that phone booth. I suppose I could do more than presume that I exemplify percentage-wise. I love proportion over post-local youth. Drowning in a sea of Tory blue. Focusing on commerce, hand control over to you. Globalising sold souls to pay for black gold. Hold the phone down while I throw you a bone. I said hold the phone down while I throw you a bone. The beauty of hindsight and infinite wisdom, and I wish I had them all. I've learned as knowledge speaks, wisdom listens. I'm not waiting for my ship to come in. I'm diving in and swimming, trying to drown the tidal wave in which you're living. Throw a penny in a pond of fish, make a wish, and drown a few sorrows like I chucked 100 quid in undercover Britain. Populated midden where mothers in the kitchen playing bingo while our 7 sons are drinking. I'm done thinking, being worry-ridden, budgeting my crisis, loading money around drugs and drinking. I'm the you and me and meet down the Garvey, he's in love smitten, hitting ready. Cause his birds giggling at a nigga, he gets in, they try to tidy up the kitchen, using chopsticks to eat Rice Krispies while he's pissing. All seeing I view a bald face. Get off of me, I was born awake with a bowl of cornflakes. Metaphors getting long like legging it to storm away to go and scare a storm away. Oh, there I gone again, it's nearly 8:30. My granny's coming, so I better put the bomb away. I have a laugh with my gran, grab her the azapam and sell her dyslexic handicap a cake of marzipan. I need a holiday, I start to pack. I think I'll go to Earth this year because Mars was crap. Tim Burton like Mars attacks. You keep buzzing that gas, Russia's gonna have a heart attack. society. People seek hysteria. We puppets in power like a scene for Team America. I'm gallus. Up in Saddam's palace. Like who the fuck is Alice with a phallus and a chalice? Useless information like Jay know that Australia looks bigger on the atlas than it does from other planets.